Chapter 1344. Group Monsters in the Deeper Regions. The area radiated by the 8th fireball is the territory of the demon tribe. Lin, a 30-meter-tall stone demon, sat in the yellow sand, different from other stone demons. The bodies of other stone demons were pitch black, and the higher their cultivation, the deeper the black. Lin, a 9th-rank God King stone demon, had a body as black as ink. But his body, besides being black, also had a golden glow. The golden glow was like stars in the great world, adorning his body, making him look like a deity. Not only did his body have a golden glow, but even his name was Jin Hui, Golden Glow. He asked in a deep voice,
"Any news?"
Beside him was another stone demon, a 20-meter-tall stone demon, exuding the aura of a 9th-rank God King. But in front of Jin Hui, he seemed so small.
No news. According to your instructions, we also set up traps at the farthest oasis in the 9th region, but found no trace of Lin Moyu.
Jin Hui's voice was hoarse and unpleasant.
Could it be that he didn't go there?
They had set up several traps. From the 5th, 6th, and 7th middle regions to the deeper regions, there were a total of 6 oases and 6 passages. One passage belonged to the Sand Tribe and Earth Monsters, which they couldn't interfere with. Another had little Ming Wang Bodhisattva overseeing it, which they also couldn't touch. They had set up traps in the remaining 4 passages. No matter where Lin Moyu entered, they could teleport there immediately to intercept him. In the eyes of many stone demons, this setup was flawless. But Jin Hui knew that although he was smarter than most stone demons, his intelligence was only average. This setup might work against ordinary people, but not necessarily against Lin Moyu. Jin Hui muttered to himself,
"The Sand Tribe and Earth Monsters passage shouldn't allow him through. These 2 tribes are very xenophobic and hard to negotiate with. At Little Mingwang Bodhisattva's place, there are many scattered cultivators from various races, some of whom have grudges against the human tribe. If he goes through that passage, he might be hunted by other races and may not survive." Where did he go?
After thinking for a long time, he couldn't figure it out and said in a deep voice,
"Keep guarding here and watch the traps. I'll go see Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva."
Jin Hui decided to visit Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva. In the sandstorm, clusters of soul fire lit up. Unlike the previous 2 cross-region encounters, the fireball in the sky did not drop flaming meteors. Perhaps it thought that those who could come here would no longer fear flaming meteors. Through undead vision, Lin Moyu clearly saw these soul fires. The soul fires were very powerful, seemingly beyond the 8th rank of the God King, but not quite at the 9th rank. The only problem was the sheer number of soul fires. There were thousands of soul fires in the sandstorm. Each soul fire represented a monster. Thousands of soul fires meant thousands of monsters. Each one was stronger than an 8th-rank God King, infinitely close to the 9th rank. Moreover, among the many soul fires, one had reached the 9th rank of the God King, likely the leader of these monsters.
Group monsters? But this number is a bit too much.
Lin Moyu thought of the group monsters commonly seen in his small world. A group monster is a leader with a bunch of minions forming a monster group. Normally, a leader has 5 or 6 minions, at most dozens. He had never seen one with 1,000 minions. These monsters quickly approached Lin Moyu after appearing. A buzzing sound came to his ears, like countless wing cases vibrating. The sandstorm was too intense. Although undead vision could clearly see the soul fires and know the monsters' positions, he couldn't see their true forms. The monsters got closer, surrounding him. Lin Moyu's heart moved, and 5 Legion commanders appeared beside him. Along with the 5 Legion commanders, the Bone Dragon Legion also appeared. With Lin Moyu's advancement to the 9th rank of the True God realm, the Bone Dragons, enhanced by commanding spells, had individual combat power reaching the 4th rank of the God King realm. Although far inferior to the monsters in the sandstorm, the Bone Dragon's massive bodies could at least form a meat shield to block the monsters. Lin Moyu wanted to use the Bone Dragons to see what kind of monsters they were before deciding on a battle strategy. He felt that with such a large number of monsters, an ordinary ninth-rank god king would only face death. The bone dragons roared and charged out, colliding with the monsters. Lin Moyu connected to the bone dragon's vision and finally saw the monster's true forms at the moment of collision. They were giant flying ants. Each flying ant was over 5 meters long, with sharp mandibles and 2 pairs of thin wing cases on their backs, vibrating violently. Their combat power was strong, easily biting through the bone dragon's bones. Their legs were extremely sharp, almost instantly shattering the bone dragons upon contact. What shocked Lin Moyu the most was that they could fly. Not very high, but they were indeed flying. It was the first time he had seen flying monsters in the Yellow Earth Desert. The no-fly rule here seemed to give these flying ants an exception, granting them special privileges. At this moment, the bone dragon's massive bodies showed their advantage. Although their bodies were torn apart, they didn't die immediately. This gave Lin Moyu enough time to observe the monsters. Lin Moyu controlled the bone dragons to charge at the flying ant's leader. The leader was twice the size of an ordinary flying ant, over 10 meters long. It had 3 pairs of wing cases instead of 2, a total of 6 wings. As the bone dragon was about to collide with it, it sprayed a pale yellow gas. The gas merged with the yellow sand, causing the sand to roll back, turning each grain of sand into a deadly weapon, shredding the bone dragon to pieces.
Indeed, very powerful. It would take at least 5 ninth-rank god kings to get through here.
Everyone must face such a scene when entering the deeper regions for the first time. A single person definitely couldn't get through, but a group could. Lin Moyu now knew the monster's specifics and had a strategy in mind. These flying ants were yellow and blended with the sandstorm. The sandstorm affected him, but not the flying ants. The best way was to break through quickly and leave the sandstorm. Perhaps other god kings did just that. Once out of the sandstorm, the flying ants, despite their numbers, wouldn't be a big deal. But Lin Moyu didn't want to choose that way. His previous actions were just to identify the monsters and their laws. The flying ants had strong earth laws, giving them powerful defense. But they had no fire laws. Without fire laws, it meant fire laws could harm them. 2 liches appeared simultaneously. 2 Law Star River projections shone brightly in the sandstorm. The Starlight Lich merged into the Law Star River, which descended to envelop the flying ant's leader. The leader froze, and in the next second, all the flying ants flew in another direction, ignoring Lin Moyu. The illusion made the leader lose the ability to locate the enemy. In the illusion, the enemy was in another place. It summoned all its minions to fly to another location. Thousands of giant flying ants vibrated their wing cases, buzzing as they followed the leader's orders, surrounding the non-existent enemy. They formed a huge encirclement. Then the fire lich merged into the Law Star River, and countless flames poured down. 1345 1345 Chapter 1345 The ability to block undead vision. Flames poured down, and all the flying ants were ignited. The flying ants let out sharp cries, but they did not disobey the leader's orders and continued to attack the non-existent enemy. Soon, the flying ants were burned to death, their deaths occurring rapidly. The leader of the flying ants, which had not been attacked, sensed the deaths of its subordinates. In the illusion, it believed the enemy was too powerful and ordered its subordinates to intensify their attacks. But in reality, more and more flying ants were dying. Just like in the Small Worlds dungeon, Lin Moyu began a similar operation again. However, the current corpse explosion was different from before. Now, the corpse explosion could lock onto targets and was no longer limited by the explosion range. The advantage is that it can precisely lock onto targets, allowing the user to choose who to explode. The disadvantage is that the more targets there are, the weaker the damage becomes. Each has its pros and cons, making it difficult to determine which is better. But in Lin Moyu's view, the current corpse explosion is more useful. Although the damage weakens with more targets, it is better suited to the complex situations in the Great World. The flames burned fiercely, and under the fire lich's attack, the 1,000 flying ants were completely burned to ashes in less than 5 minutes. The corpses of the dead flying ants were swept into the yellow sand and disappeared with the sandstorm. In the blink of an eye, only the leader of the flying ants remained. The leader of the flying ants was still in the illusion, where its subordinates were still attacking the non-existent powerful enemy. The fire lich pounced on it, and all the flames began to pour onto it. The leader of the flying ants was engulfed in flames and struggled frantically. It continuously spewed yellow sand, and its sharp legs swung in the sandstorm, with its wing cases stirring up a gale. But all its struggles were in vain. The fire lich and the starlight lich cooperated, extinguishing its life force. Soon it was burned to ashes like its subordinates. A crystal core fell from its corpse and was brought back by the fire lich. Lin Moyu took the crystal core and continued to move forward. The sandstorm gradually subsided, becoming smaller and smaller until it finally disappeared. The deeper regions were indeed more dangerous than before. If it weren't for the presence of the Starlight Lich, he would have had to fight the swarm of flying ants head-on. It would have required using his original spells and would have been a tough battle. If it were other god kings, they would have had to break through as quickly as possible, or they would have been trapped in the sandstorm. Examining the crystal core in his hand, it was larger than the crystal cores of the 8th rank god king monsters, and the laws contained within were more concentrated and pure. The laws within the crystal core were earth laws, very pure and without impurities. It could be said that this crystal core was entirely composed of laws. Lin Moyu carefully sensed it and felt that the laws contained within were nearly perfect. If he could use it to comprehend the laws, the efficiency would be astonishing and would not be much different from the human tribe's sea of laws. Unfortunately, the crystal cores in the Yellow Earth Desert can only be used within the desert and cannot be taken outside. Even the crystal cores obtained in the deeper regions cannot be taken to the middle regions. At most, they can be taken to the oasis. Once they leave the oasis, the crystal cores lose their effectiveness. This rule also prevents people from taking the crystal cores from the deeper regions to the outer regions for others to use. Lin Moyu weighed the crystal core in his hand and then put it away.
The main laws in the Yellow Earth Desert are earth laws and stone laws. The flying ant monsters drop crystal cores of earth laws, and they are very pure without any impurities. Then in the deeper regions, there should be another type of monster that drops crystal cores of stone laws.
Before entering the deeper regions, even the crystal cores obtained from the earth giants were a fusion of the two laws. Lower-level crystal cores were the same, with one law being dominant. Moreover, whether in the outer or middle regions, there were more than two types of monsters, each dropping different crystal cores. From this, Lin Moyu could deduce that there should be another type of monster in the deeper regions that drops crystal cores of stone laws. Further analysis led him to wonder if the two different types of crystal cores might be related to summoning the leader monsters in the deeper regions. Lin Moyu had asked Dai Shinger and her companions, but they didn't know either. They had never seen the leader monsters in the deeper regions, nor had they truly entered the core of the deeper regions. The people in the oasis only operated near the entrance, never venturing more than 10 million kilometers from the entrance. Some had gone deeper, but they never returned. It was said that the interior of the deeper regions was extremely dangerous, and even 9th rank god kings would fall. When Lin Moyu heard this information, he also found it strange. He agreed that the deeper one went, the more dangerous it became, and this was indeed the case. But to say that all the god kings who went in never returned didn't seem right to him. The god kings here had all reached the 9th rank, the peak of the god king realm, and they acted in groups. Even if there was danger, it was unlikely that none of them would return, unless there was something special. Suddenly, he looked up at the sky. A huge fireball was burning brightly in the sky, its light so dazzling that it created layers of afterimages before his eyes. Lin Moyu felt as if someone was watching him, and the gaze seemed to come from the fireball. When he looked up, the attention seemed to shift away, and he found nothing.
Is it little Mingwang Bodhisattva?
Lin Moyu wondered. The gaze came from a great distance, and if someone had this ability, it was likely a small god sovereign. With the Buddha tribe's secret techniques and the small god sovereign's realm, it was not surprising that they could observe him from afar.
Perhaps the small god sovereign knows how to summon the leader monsters. I'll ask if I get the chance.
Lin Moyu put away the crystal core and continued walking forward. He had a mission here, to traverse the Yellow Earth Desert, pass through the deeper regions, and enter the Nether Swamp. Only then could he bring back Su Qingyang's soul. Unless he felt the mission was impossible to complete, he could choose to retreat and return. At that time, Zhu Qiwu had also told him that as long as his life was not in danger, he should try his best to save Su Qingyang. After walking about 100 kilometers, he suddenly heard a buzzing sound. Flying ants. Lin Moyu's heart tightened, and the sand dune beneath his feet exploded, with a swarm of flying ants emerging from it. Lin Moyu paused and then turned into a stream of light, appearing 10,000 meters away. The sand dune had been flattened, and Lin Moyu saw an ant nest. A large number of flying ants flew out, numbering about 1,000. They spread their wing cases, vibrating continuously in the air. Each flying ant had 2 pairs of wing cases. Finally, a giant flying ant with the aura of a 9th-rank god king, with 3 pairs of wing cases, slowly flew out from the ant nest. A 9th-rank god king's 6-winged flying ant, along with 1,000 8th-rank god king 4-winged flying ants, formed a group monster. It was exactly the same as the group monster he had encountered in the sandstorm when he first entered the deeper regions. The only difference was that there was no sandstorm now. If he encountered a team of 9th-rank god kings, there would be no need to escape. They could kill them all with some effort. Lin Moyu was slightly surprised. He had been using undead vision while advancing, but he hadn't seen any soul fires before the flying ants appeared. Before the flying ants appeared, they were hidden in the ant nest. The ant nest seemed to have the ability to block undead vision. This discovery made Lin Moyu more vigilant. 1346 Chapter 1346. Asking the Bodhisattva for information. Lin Moyu thought about the soul fires that had suddenly appeared in the sandstorm earlier. This meant that before these flying ants moved, their soul fires either did not exist or were shielded by some material. Now it seemed that this material was the ant nest. Each group monster usually resided in the ant nest, making it impossible to detect them. When someone passed by the ant nest, it would awaken all the flying ants inside to attack the intruder. This attack was swift and fierce, making it difficult to resist. While Lin Moyu was pondering, the flying ants had already charged at him. Lin Moyu used the same strategy as before, employing the elemental lich to fight. The starlight lich confused the 6-winged flying ant, causing it to issue incorrect commands. The structure of the group monster was such that the leader's command was above all else. When the 4-winged flying ants gathered, the fire lich poured down flames of law, burning them to ashes. Finally, even the 6-winged flying ant was burned to death. This tactic had been proven effective in the sandstorm, and it was very efficient. In total, it took only about 10 minutes to eliminate the group monster. Lin Moyu believed that even a team like Dai Xingers would need at least an hour or 2 to deal with such a group monster. 10 minutes later, Lin Moyu had another crystal core composed purely of earth laws in his hand. He put away the crystal core and continued forward. The terrain of the deeper regions was not much different from other areas, all composed of yellow sand. Lin Moyu looked at the fireball in the sky, constantly adjusting his direction. He did not head straight for the deepest part, but instead went towards the area radiated by the 8th fireball. He planned to eliminate the demons there first and then find a way to the Nether Swamp. Currently, he didn't even have a specific direction, only knowing that the Nether Swamp was beyond the deeper regions of the Yellow Earth Desert. But how to get there was still unknown. The method might be the same as before. Summon the leader monster, kill it, and get the key. For now, everything was uncertain. Dai Xinger and her team didn't even know about the existence of the Nether Swamp. Perhaps little Ming Wang Bodhisattva would know, but Lin Moyu didn't plan to ask. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva had once spied on him, and the other party didn't seem very friendly. So after much thought, he decided to go to the demons' territory first, kill the demons, and turn them into resurrected beings. Maybe he could get some information from them. The deeper regions were vast, and with the special nature of the flying ant nests, Lin Moyu would inevitably encounter some. Fighting the flying ants significantly slowed his progress. While he was thinking about killing the demons, Jin Hui was also heading towards Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva. As the offspring of Jin Shi, his status was very special. Although he was only at the 9th rank of the God King realm, he possessed power beyond that level. He might be slightly weaker than a small god sovereign, but not by much. Moreover, with Jin Shi's status, Jin Hui's position was on par with a small god sovereign. He had dealt with Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva before, and their relationship was neither good nor bad. Like Lin Moyu, Jin Hui also encountered attacks from flying ants along the way. This was unavoidable. No one could avoid encounters with flying ants here. However, Jin Hui's method of dealing with them was simpler and more brutal. He did not fight the flying ants but instead curled up into a ball, turning into a large stone sphere. Then his whole body glowed with golden light, ignoring the flying ants' attacks and moving forward quickly. The flying ants would give up after chasing for hundreds of thousands of kilometers and return to their nest. Lin Moyu did not know this characteristic, so he cleared the way, making his speed slower than Jin Hui's. 10 days later, Jin Hui arrived at a special area. Here, the yellow sand turned golden, and the fireball in the sky no longer emitted heat, making the temperature very comfortable. The ground seemed full of vitality, and the sand was very soft. In the air, layers of Buddha light shone down, creating a beautiful scene. In the beams of light, it seemed as if a Buddha kingdom was reflected, with countless believers praying and worshipping in the Buddha light. The entire area was filled with the aura of
Buddha.
With a mesmerizing power. Jin Hui seemed indifferent to this
Buddha
aura, even somewhat disliking it, but he did not show any abnormality and quickly moved forward. Out of respect for the
Buddha,
Jin Hui lightened his steps and returned to his normal form, no longer rolling, dragging his heavy body, which was 30 meters tall, while trying to appear light was indeed difficult for him. After walking for half a day, Jin Hui finally saw Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva. About 100 meters above Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva, there was a great sun. The great sun emitted golden light, and a grand Buddha light fell on Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva sat in the Buddha light, looking solemn. Not far from him was a lake. The lake was yellow, and the water in the lake constantly splashed against the shore without wind. Each splash would leave some water on the shore, which would turn into yellow sand and be blown away by the wind. This process had been going on for countless years, endlessly creating yellow sand for the yellow earth desert. The lake that could turn into yellow sand was magical, but Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva did not pay much attention to it. He had seen this scene many times, as there was a similar lake at the demon's stronghold. Moreover, there were several such lakes in the deeper regions. Jin Hui stood 1,000 meters away from Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva and lowered his voice.
Jin Hui of the demon tribe greets Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva.
The demon tribe was always arrogant, but they knew their limits. At least when dealing with the Buddha tribe, they would restrain their temper. Especially when facing someone stronger than themselves, they would be more polite. His voice reached out, but Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva remained motionless. The bald head reflected the Buddha light, looking like a golden crown. Jin Hui was not in a hurry. He knew Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva had heard him. After more than 10 seconds, the Buddha light on Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's body rippled like water, and a large shadow of Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva appeared in the air. The shadow was much taller than Jin Hui, looking down at him. The shadow opened its mouth, and a Buddha sound slowly came out.
Amitabha, Jin Hui, what brings you here?
Jin Hui said,
I came to ask the Bodhisattva if you have seen a human tribe member.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva did not hide.
Lin Moyu?
Jin Hui's eyes showed joy.
As expected, the Bodhisattva knows everything. Can you tell me where Lin Moyu is now?
He knew some secrets. In Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's territory, nothing could be hidden from him. This was a secret technique of the Buddha tribe, and he only knew a little about it. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's voice sounded again.
In our Buddha family, we believe in cause and effect. There is a cause for every effect, and the effect arises from the cause. Isn't it just asking for benefits? What nonsense about cause and effect?
Jin Hui cursed in his heart but did not show it. He took out a God King level treasure. The treasure looked like a mirror, clearly not belonging to the demon tribe, likely stolen from somewhere.
With this treasure, can we form a cause and effect?
As he spoke, the mirror treasure flew towards Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva emitted a Buddha light that fell on the mirror treasure. After a few seconds, a voice came out.
Yes.
1347, 1347. Chapter 1347. How dare he? Where did he get the courage? The treasure Jin Hui offered was not particularly exceptional. Just a mid-tier God King level treasure. Its value was moderate, neither high nor low. After all, he was only asking for a piece of information, a location, just a word from Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva. It wasn't a difficult task, so Jin Hui felt that a mid-tier God King level treasure was sufficient. As expected, Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva agreed. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva accepted the treasure, and a beam of Buddha light shot out from the great sun above his head, pointing into the distance.
He went in that direction.
Jin Hui looked puzzled. The direction Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva pointed to was the same direction he had come from. Then he saw an image appear in the Buddha light, showing a human walking forward. Jin Hui had never seen Lin Moyu before, so this was his first time seeing him.
So, this is Lin Moyu.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva said.
About 5 days ago, he crossed the area under my control and entered your territory. At that time, you had just entered my territory, and you two passed by each other, separated by 1,000,000 kilometers.
Jin Hui was skeptical of Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's words, but he was extremely shocked.
He actually entered the 8th region. What is he doing there?
Most of the 8th region is occupied by the demon tribe. Jin Hui didn't think Lin Moyu went there to catch up with the sand tribe and earth monsters. There was only one possibility. He was targeting the demon tribe. However, as the strongest member of the stone demon tribe here, he was not at his stronghold at the moment.
Where did he get the courage?
Jin Hui found it hard to believe, his eyes full of shock. Even though he wasn't at the stronghold, there were still 39th rank God King stone demons there. Lin Moyu going there alone was like seeking death. Although he thought this, he couldn't shake a feeling of unease. Suppressing his unease, Jin Hui continued to ask,
Does the Bodhisattva know where Lin Moyu went after entering the 8th region?
The shadow of Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva in the sky glanced at Jin Hui, and for some reason, Jin Hui felt a hint of mockery in his eyes.
Don't you already have the answer in your heart?
Upon hearing this, Jin Hui was startled. He immediately bowed to Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva.
Thank you, Bodhisattva.
After speaking, he turned and left without looking back. After leaving this special land, he curled up again and rolled towards the 8th region. He held a special magic stone that allowed him to quickly return to the demon stronghold. However, he had to return to the 8th region first, as the magic stone couldn't function in Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's territory. He was anxious and rolled quickly, but no matter how fast he was, it would still take at least 4 days to return to the 8th region. Based on the timing, Lin Moyu had already been in the 8th region for nearly 5 days since they passed by each other. Adding his return time, there would be a total of 9 days difference.
Where did this guy get the courage? Where did he get the courage? Damn it, don't let me find you, or I'll tear you to pieces.
The moment Lin Moyu entered the 8th region, he suddenly paused. He felt a difference. The 8th and 9th regions were like two different worlds. The laws were almost the same, but there were many differences.
Is it an illusion?
Lin Moyu wasn't sure of his feelings, but the sense of difference was very obvious. Moreover, when he entered the 8th region, the feeling of being watched disappeared. He thought it might be related to Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva and became more cautious of this Bodhisattva who had reached the small Buddha realm. This bodhisattva seemed more terrifying than he had imagined. The secret techniques of the Buddha tribe also made him feel unusual. The Buddha tribe could establish themselves in the harsh great world with their inclusive teachings, which was extraordinary. After entering the 8th region, Lin Moyu quickly released a large number of Death Knights. The Death Knights, riding war horses, trod on the yellow sand and quickly dispersed in all directions to find the demon stronghold for Lin Moyu. Here, the advantage of the Death Knights was once again evident. Although they couldn't detect the flying ants also wouldn't attack them. The flying ants were only interested in living beings and had no interest in undead creatures filled with death energy. The Death Knights moved unimpeded, like entering an uninhabited land. In just 2 days, the Death Knights found the demon stronghold. It was a massive fortress, forming a square with sides 10,000 meters long, looking imposing. But in Lin Moyu's eyes, it was a mess. In terms of construction, the human tribe was far superior to the demons. Even the fortresses built for practical purposes in the military were far more aesthetically pleasing than those of the demon tribe. Not to mention that the stone demons were considered the less intelligent among the demon tribe. Building a fortress was already an achievement for them. Lin Moyu had the Death Knights observe from all directions and quickly gathered information about the fortress. Through undead vision, he could clearly see that there were 39th rank God King stone demons in the fortress, but no small god sovereigns. This number was already considerable, as becoming a god sovereign was extremely difficult. Even with the vast population of the human tribe, the number of god sovereigns was not very high. The stone demons were just a branch of the demon tribe's hell lineage, and having 2 or 3 god sovereigns was already impressive. The 39th rank God King stone demons here might not produce a single god sovereign even after hundreds of years. Lin Moyu felt that his journey through the Yellow Earth Desert was almost severing the lineage of the stone demons. If he killed these stone demons, there would be a significant gap from the 4th to the 9th rank of the God King realm, which might take 1,000 years to recover.
39th rank God Kings, and it seems there's no barrier. There should be a demon eye, but it's not activated now. A sneak attack won't work. If I launch a frontal assault, I might be able to kill them all, but if they want to escape, I can't stop them.
The Starlight Lich couldn't trap so many 9th rank God King stone demons. Without the Starlight Lich's assistance, the Fire Lich's effectiveness would be greatly reduced. There was only one Skeleton King. Only Lin Moyu could forcibly elevate his realm to a small god sovereign, but his laws couldn't be elevated, so his actual combat power was not as strong as a small god sovereign. Moreover, if the opponents wanted to escape, he couldn't stop them. Additionally, the 9th rank God King stone demons had a chance to revive, meaning each of them had 2 lives. After thinking for a while, Lin Moyu came up with an idea. He would drive the wolves to devour the tigers. He would lure the flying ants to the fortress, using them to weaken the stone demon's strength before making his move. This way, although he still couldn't kill all the stone demons, he could at least take down a few more. With this plan in mind, the Death Knights began to act. They formed teams of 1,000, creating 1,000 teams in total. Centered around the demon stronghold, within a radius of 100,000 kilometers, they began to stir up the sand. Whenever they saw a sand dune, they would strike it a few times. If there was a flying ant nest inside, the flying ants would come out to chase the Death Knights. The Death Knights would lead the flying ants around, waiting for other teams to join in. Beside Lin Moyu stood a lich emitting light, the Lightspeed Lich. Its presence allowed the Death Knights to have the fastest speed in the Yellow Earth Desert, enough to lead the flying ants on a merry chase. 1348 Chapter 1348. Driving wolves to devour tigers, flying ants to destroy enemies. Tens of thousands of teams spread out across the vast yellow sand, leveling sand dunes one by one. Within a radius of 100,000 kilometers, there were countless sand dunes, and the number of flying ants hidden inside was also astonishing. The yellow sand of the dunes was blasted into the sky, swirling in the strong wind. The yellow sand turned into a sandstorm, covering the sky and the sun, even dimming the fireball in the sky. The whole world became hazy, with more and more yellow sand, like a fog. The yellow sand in the sky began to connect, becoming denser and denser, forming a massive sandstorm covering a radius of 100,000 kilometers. In the demon stronghold, the stone demons noticed this. Their not-so-bright minds simultaneously had a thought.
What a big sandstorm!
Some had been here for hundreds of years, others for several centuries, and they had rarely seen such a large-scale sandstorm. But sandstorms were not uncommon in the deeper regions, so they just marveled at the size of this one without any other reaction. They didn't even activate the demon eye. The sandstorm grew more intense, almost reaching the point where one couldn't see their hand in front of their face. But the stone demons didn't care. They quietly stayed in the sandstorm, even enjoying the laws contained within it. A buzzing sound came from the sandstorm, and a stone demon curiously said,
Why is there the sound of flying ants? What's so strange about that? It's normal for there to be flying ants in a sandstorm, isn't it?
They had dealt with flying ants countless times and were too familiar with their sound. Because they were so familiar, they didn't care about the flying ants. But then the buzzing grew louder, from a whisper to a deafening roar. The sound of vibrating wings surrounded them from all directions. In the sandstorm, they couldn't see how many flying ants there were. They could only judge from the sound that there were flying ants everywhere, in astonishing numbers. Lin Moyu stood far away using undead vision. In the gray and white world, clusters of soul fire were incredibly clear. Most belonged to the flying ants, but some were extremely bright, belonging to the stone demons. Although the soul fire of the flying ants wasn't as bright as that of the stone demons, their numbers were overwhelming, reaching 1 million. Tens of thousands of death knights formed teams, continuously bombarding the sand dunes, triggering 1,000 ant nests. Each ant nest had over 1,000 flying ants, adding up to 1 million. The death knights led these flying ants, attacking the stone demons from all directions. Using the cover of the sandstorm, the death knights and flying ants charged into the stronghold together. By the time the stone demons realized what was happening and tried to activate the barrier, it was too late. Lin Moyu watched as the last flying ant entered the stronghold. Then, with a thought, all the death knights disappeared instantly. The flying ants lost their target and became like headless flies. The 4-winged flying ants circled in the air, waiting for orders from the 6-winged flying ants, whether to return to the nest or take other actions. In the next second, the 6-winged flying ants issued new orders, targeting the stone demons in the stronghold. The whole process went as Lin Moyu had planned. The stone demons were slow-witted and slow to react. The flying ants acted purely on instinct. Their instinct was to eliminate all life forms within their sensing range and attack anything that attacked them. If the Death Knights didn't attack them, they wouldn't bother with the Death Knights. The stone demons, on the other hand, were living beings with strong life force and soul fire. When the flying ants lost their target, they naturally turned to the stone demons. In the indistinguishable yellow sand, the flying ants' vision was unaffected, giving them a significant advantage. From the start of the battle, the stone demons were at a complete disadvantage. 39th rank God King stone demons had immense combat power. Even if they faced 30, 50, or even 100 group monsters simultaneously, they wouldn't be afraid. But now they were surrounded by 1,000 group monsters. Not just 1,000 9th rank God King 6-winged flying ants, but also 1,000,000 8th rank God King 4-winged flying ants. In terms of power, they were completely overwhelmed. The sound of battle roared, and the fortress was destroyed from within. Under the fierce and dense attacks of the flying ants, the stone demons' defenses collapsed, and their bodies were torn apart. Lin Moyu watched quietly from afar. Everything happening in the sandstorm was actually invisible. He observed the changes in the soul fire within the sandstorm through undead vision, inferring the battle's progress. The 30 clusters of soul fire belonging to the stone demons were easy to identify. When a soul fire extinguished, it meant a stone demon had died. Soon, the first stone demon fell, its soul fire completely extinguished. Although more flying ants' soul fires were extinguished, the remaining number of flying ants was still astonishing, showing no significant decrease. Lin Moyu knew the stone demons were finished. They couldn't survive the relentless bombardment of the flying ants. Because of the sandstorm, they wouldn't even have a chance to escape. This was a battle with no suspense. To prevent the stone demons from escaping, Lin Moyu had a second plan. The Starlight Lich and Fire Lich were ready to act. If anyone tried to escape, they would intervene. The Skeleton King was also prepared, and Lin Moyu himself could act at any time. Meanwhile, the Death Knights continued to operate outside the sandstorm, still attacking the yellow sand, sending large amounts of sand into the storm to increase its density.
Actually, the monsters are the true masters of the Yellow Earth Desert, not you.
Lin Moyu said softly. It seemed like the demons occupied a region, but when the monsters united and acted together, the demons couldn't resist. It didn't even take many monsters, just a few. A 100,000-kilometer radius was just a tiny part of the Yellow Earth Desert. At this moment, Lin Moyu thought of Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva. Although they hadn't met formally, Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva gave Lin Moyu a different feeling. Especially in the 9th region, there was a special feeling. That feeling made Lin Moyu uneasy, which was one reason he hadn't sought out Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva. The battle lasted for most of the day, and finally, the stone demons were all killed by the flying ants. They never understood why the flying ants attacked them. With their simple minds, they couldn't imagine that the flying ants were led there by someone. In this battle, all 39th rank God King stone demons were killed, and even more flying ants died. Nearly 100 six-winged flying ants died, and over 100,000 four-winged flying ants perished. Each stone demon had one chance to revive, so their endurance was far greater than it appeared. But they still died. The flying ants rushed out of the sandstorm, returning to their nests. After waiting for half a day, the sandstorm gradually subsided, and everything returned to calm. Only then did Lin Moyu enter the fortress. The fortress was half destroyed in the battle, with rubble and ruins everywhere. But the fortress wasn't originally well built, so its destruction didn't make much difference. Among the rubble, some were real stones and some were the corpses of stone demons. They were mixed together, hard to distinguish. Lin Moyu entered the fortress, stepping on the rubble, and waved out a flame of undeath. 1349, 1349. Chapter 1349. You're not the only one who can use traps. Flames engulfed an area, within which lay the shattered remains of stone demons and actual stones. In the midst of the undead flames, a stone demon quickly completed its physical rebirth and soul reconstruction. In the blink of an eye, a tall stone demon was prostrated before Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu asked,
Tell me about the situation here.
The stone demon, with a dull and unpleasant voice, answered honestly,
About 900 years ago, we cleared out the nearby flying ants and established a stronghold here. This stronghold is only 1,000,000 kilometers from the nearest yellow sand lake, making it easy to reach the lake without being affected by it.
Lin Moyu frowned and interrupted.
Stop.
He realized he had asked the wrong question again. He wanted the stone demon to talk about the situation here, meaning he wanted to know how many of them were in the deeper regions, whether they were all here or if there were any stragglers, or how many strongholds they had, and whether this was just one of them. He didn't want a history lesson on why the stronghold was built here. Of course, he was also interested in that, but now was not the time. Lin Moyu thought for a moment and changed his question.
How many strongholds do you have in the deeper regions?
The stone demon answered honestly.
1.
Only one stronghold, and it was here. Lin Moyu felt a bit more at ease. This meant that even if there were stragglers, there wouldn't be many. He continued with the second question.
How many of you are in the deeper regions?
The stone demon answered.
31.
31 and 30 were killed by the flying ants, meaning there was one straggler. Lin Moyu immediately asked,
Who is the one who wasn't killed by the flying ants?
The stone demon replied in a low voice.
His name is Jin Hui, our leader.
Lin Moyu's heart skipped a beat. The opponent had a name. From what Lin Moyu knew about the demon tribe, ordinary demons were not worthy of having names. They usually only had nicknames or simpler numbers. Even those who reached the God King realm didn't have names. For example, the God King Bat Demon who had chased Lin Moyu before could be called the Bat God King, but he didn't have a specific name. This was a characteristic of the demon tribe. In the demon tribe, only the truly strong or those who reached the God Sovereign realm had names. Any demon with a name was very powerful. They were invincible in the same realm and could often fight across levels, sometimes even across realms. Otherwise, they wouldn't be worthy of having a name. Lin Moyu became cautious. Jin Hui was the leader of the stone demons here, so he wouldn't leave easily. Lin Moyu asked,
Tell me more about Jin Hui.
Knowing oneself and the enemy is very important. Lin Moyu needed to know everything about Jin Hui to make appropriate plans. Through the stone demon's account, he began to understand Jin Hui and learned about the special reproduction method of the stone demon tribe. Besides naturally born stone demons, there was a special birth method where a very strong being could split itself to create offspring. There could be several avatars, but only one offspring. The offspring was like a biological child in the human tribe, and it was an only child. Jin Hui was the offspring of Lord Jin Shi, an ancestor of the stone demon tribe. The stone demon didn't know Lord Jin Shi's exact strength, only that he had reached the 9th rank of the God Sovereign realm a long time ago. Jin Hui inherited some of Jin Shi's traits and possessed a bloodline inheritance secret technique. Although he was only at the 9th rank of the God King realm, he was not inferior to a small God Sovereign. Moreover, Jin Hui was very smart, much smarter than ordinary stone demons. This also explained the origin of the stronghold. The traps originally set for Lin Moyu were also designed by Jin Hui. There were traps not only here but also in the peripheral areas. Fortunately, Lin Moyu didn't choose to enter the deeper regions from the periphery. Otherwise, they would have known as soon as he entered, and he would have been forcibly teleported here to face their combined attack. This time, Jin Hui left to see little Ming Wang Bodhisattva. Because Lin Moyu didn't fall into the trap, Jin Hui wanted to know Lin Moyu's whereabouts, and little Ming Wang Bodhisattva might know. After listening, Lin Moyu slowly analyzed and thought. He organized the stone demon's words, deducing the previous events and what Jin Hui might do after returning. Jin Hui had combat power comparable to a small God Sovereign. If Lin Moyu fought him with all his might, without soul power replenishment, his original spells wouldn't last long. The Starlight Lich's illusion might not trap him. The Fire Lich and Skeleton King would also find it hard to harm him. The undead army would be even less effective. His presence seemed to touch the limit of Lin Moyu's combat power. The best way now was to avoid him. But Lin Moyu didn't want to let him go. Killing Jin Hui would sever Jin Shi's lineage, making it very difficult for him to create another offspring. For the Stone Demon tribe, this would be a severe blow, even more damaging than killing 39th rank God Kings. If left alone, Jin Hui would surely become a God Sovereign, adding a powerful enemy to the human tribe. So, from the bottom of his heart, Lin Moyu didn't want to let Jin Hui go. The question now was how to kill him without letting him escape. After thinking for a while, a plan formed in his mind. Lin Moyu flicked his fingers, and clusters of undead flames shot into the sky, exploding into a rain of fire that covered half the stronghold. In the undead flames, stone demons began to be reborn, becoming resurrected beings. Lin Moyu resurrected 15 stone demons and ordered them to collect the remains of the other stone demons and pile them together. He also collected the crystal cores left by the flying ants. As for the stronghold, he left it as it was. The stronghold was in ruins, clearly showing signs of a great battle. After finishing everything, Lin Moyu gathered the resurrected stone demons and instructed them on what to do next. The stone demons knew nothing about this. They had been here for hundreds of years, some for nearly a century, but they didn't know there were other places beyond the deeper regions. However, Lin Moyu repeatedly heard about Yellow Sand Lake from them. He vaguely felt that the Nether Swamp might be related to Yellow Sand Lake. Jin Hui might know more. Half a day later, Lin Moyu had everything set up, just waiting for Jin Hui to return.
You can use traps to kill me. I can repay in kind.
He left the stronghold and quickly moved away. The Death Knights once again spread out, heading to various sand dunes. Within a 100,000-kilometer radius centered on the stronghold, the locations of the flying ants had already been thoroughly investigated in previous actions. The Death Knights quietly waited on the sand dunes where the flying ants were. Lin Moyu waited for another day. Suddenly, a faint light appeared in a corner of the stronghold. Dark green abyssal flames roared to life, spreading out like ripples. A tall figure appeared in the flames. Jin Hui had returned. As soon as he entered the stronghold, his eyes narrowed sharply, and his expression changed instantly. 1350. Chapter 1350. The fortress is your grave. The moment Jin Hui returned, the Death Knights arranged by Lin Moyu in the distance sent back information. In the gray and white undead vision, a soul fire suddenly appeared, incredibly bright and vigorous. A soul fire stronger than a 9th-rank God King could only mean one thing. Jin Hui had returned. Lin Moyu's heart stirred, and the Death Knights he had arranged immediately took action, leveling the sand dunes. A large number of sand dunes were destroyed, raising a sky full of yellow sand, revealing the ant nests inside. One by one, the flying ants vibrated their wings and began chasing the Death Knights. Inside the fortress, Jin Hui was unaware of what was happening outside. His attention was already drawn to the severely damaged fortress. The ground was covered with rubble, and the once passable fortress was now completely collapsed. From a distance, he saw the gathered stone demons and the mountain of stone demon corpses.
What happened here?
His voice was deafening, and with 2 steps, he was in front of the mountain of corpses. Looking at the pile of rubble, he asked again,
What exactly happened?
Under his questioning, a stone demon spoke in a low voice.
It was Lin Moyu. He came, and we fought a great battle.
Jin Hui had already guessed this and roared.
Tell me the result. We lost many people, and he was seriously injured and escaped.
Another stone demon answered in a low voice. Jin Hui said in a deep voice,
So many of you couldn't keep him here?
The stone demons looked at each other in silence. Jin Hui knew these guys weren't very bright and probably couldn't provide much information. Moreover, stone demons weren't known for their speed. If Lin Moyu had some treasure or was skilled in speed, it would indeed be hard to catch him. Additionally, Lin Moyu had the ability to kill all the stone demons in the middle region, indicating his combat power was strong enough. Otherwise, he wouldn't be at the top of the must-kill list. Jin Hui suppressed his anger.
Was he really seriously injured? Yes, seriously injured.
The stone demons answered in unison. Jin Hui looked at the mountain of corpses and then at the surviving stone demons, muttering to himself,
Killed 15, seriously injured, and fled. It seems he must have used all his trump cards. His combat power should be higher than a 9th-rank God King, but not as strong as a small God Sovereign. If it were me, even if I couldn't defeat these fools, I could at least retreat calmly without getting injured.
After analyzing, Jin Hui concluded that Lin Moyu's strength was not as great as his own. If he hadn't left at that time, he could have killed Lin Moyu. But he had left, and now he regretted his decision. At that time, he hadn't expected Lin Moyu to be so bold as to attack the stronghold. However, Lin Moyu probably didn't know about his presence.
So, if he recovers, he might come back. Or maybe he'll come back before he recovers. Facing such a situation, he definitely won't let it go. I just need to wait here for him to come back. There's no need to go out and search. This is what the human tribe calls waiting for the rabbit.
Jin Hui made up his mind to wait in the fortress for Lin Moyu to return. Using 15 God Kings as bait, he didn't believe Lin Moyu wouldn't come back. Moreover, he was confident that Lin Moyu didn't know about his existence. So when Lin Moyu returned, it would be his death. Although Lin Moyu had never seen Jin Hui, it seemed everything was going according to his plan. The only variable in his plan was Jin Hui's reaction. If Jin Hui left the fortress immediately, his subsequent arrangements would fall apart. Although he had backup plans, he wasn't sure if they could kill Jin Hui. But as long as Jin Hui didn't leave the fortress, everything would proceed as planned. He relied on the information gap, knowing that Jin Hui didn't know he was aware of his existence. Moreover, the stone demons in the fortress, whether alive or dead, had become weapons to kill him.
The fortress will be your grave.
Lin Moyu's eyes turned cold, and everything proceeded according to his script. Although Jin Hui was smart, he wasn't smart enough. Hours later, a sandstorm hit the fortress. Jin Hui had seen many sandstorms and didn't care. But as time passed, the sandstorm grew more intense, affecting visibility. Jin Hui still didn't react, as such sandstorms were common in the Yellow Earth Desert. He even closed his eyes, letting the sandstorm fall on him. In the sandstorm, golden light flickered, representing Jin Hui's special bloodline. Until the sandstorm completely covered the golden light, Jin Hui suddenly felt something was wrong. His vision was completely obscured, and even if he raised his hand in front of his face, he couldn't see it. The sandstorm contained special laws, greatly weakening soul sensing, making it almost useless. Jin Hui slowly stood up, his voice echoing in the sandstorm.
Who's there?
The sandstorm's howling wind swallowed his voice. He switched to soul communication and called out again. But there was still no response, and he finally realized something was wrong. At this moment, a buzzing sound reached his ears, the sound of flying ants' wings vibrating. The buzzing grew louder, coming from all directions, mingling with the howling sandstorm. Jin Hui's expression changed. The sound indicated a terrifying number of flying ants, even making his scalp tingle. The eeriest part was the silence around him. Had all the remaining stone demons died? Jin Hui moved suddenly, emitting a sound wave from his mouth, and his law domain expanded. The law domain shattered the sandstorm, revealing a blank area in his vision. Then he saw several skeletal figures on horseback, death knights, and the flying ants behind them. Before he could react, the death knights disappeared.
Disappeared?
Jin Hui was momentarily stunned. Then his expression changed drastically. With the death knights gone, the flying ants' target naturally became him. And this situation wasn't just in front of him. It was behind him, to his left, to his right, and even above him. Sure enough, within half a second, the flying ants had a new target, Jin Hui. Countless flying ants swarmed towards Jin Hui, surrounding him. Jin Hui roared in anger, his body glowing with golden light. At this moment, he looked less like a stone demon and more like a member of the Golden Eagle tribe or a golden demon. Along with the golden light, his law domain erupted. In the law domain, a soul leaped out. The soul was also covered in golden light, identical to Jin Hui. At the peak of the God King realm, the soul had already merged with the law domain, even beginning to fully integrate the laws into the soul. At this moment, the soul manifested in the law domain, manipulating and using the laws, exerting power far beyond the physical body. Jin Hui wielded the laws, forming golden stones that rained down on the flying ants. The flying ants hit by the stones exploded instantly, but there were too many flying ants. As one wave was crushed, another wave followed, endless and relentless. 1351, 1351. Chapter 1351. Are you playing unfairly? Lin Moyu watched from a distance, using undead vision to observe the battlefield. He saw Jin Hui surrounded by countless flying ants, continuously killing the flying ants, their souls extinguishing one by one. Compared to ordinary stone demons, Jin Hui, also at the 9th rank of the God King realm, was on a completely different level in terms of combat power. Even from a distance, Lin Moyu could vaguely feel the power of the law domain. It was a perfect level law with 100% control, extremely powerful. Lin Moyu could even imagine Jin Hui using the soul law domain, manipulating the law domain with his soul to exert even greater power.
So this is the power beyond the 9th rank of the God King realm? He's not even a small God sovereign yet, and he's already this powerful. As a small God sovereign, little Mingwang Bodhisattva must be even stronger. It seems I made the right choice not to seek out little Ming Wang Bodhisattva immediately.
Lin Moyu remained cautious of little Ming Wang Bodhisattva. If it wasn't necessary, he didn't want to interact with him. After all, with his current strength, he couldn't contend with a small god sovereign. This wasn't out of fear. If little Ming Wang Bodhisattva wanted to harm him, Lin Moyu still had the means to kill him and ensure his own survival. But there was no need to waste his trump cards on someone irrelevant. Amidst the intense sandstorm, occasional flashes of golden light could be seen. The powerful law aura swept across tens of thousands of miles. The sandstorm was constantly dispersed by the powerful laws but quickly gathered again. The Death Knights continued to bombard the yellow sand ground, raising more yellow sand and forming an even stronger sandstorm. Seeing the number of flying ant soul fires continuously decreasing, Lin Moyu couldn't help but admire Jin Hui's combat prowess. Facing hundreds of 9th-rank God King 6-winged flying ants, plus hundreds of thousands of 8th-rank God King 4-winged flying ants, Jin Hui could still hold on for so long. Finally, the soul fire representing Jin Hui began to charge outward. The flying ants were scattered, and Jin Hui forcefully broke through.
Reached his limit? Or ran out of means, knowing he couldn't hold on any longer?
Lin Moyu's eyes flickered, issuing a second command. The current situation was within his expectations. Not surprising. Facing so many flying ants, even a small god sovereign would have to flee. Jin Hui wasn't a small god sovereign, so holding on this long was already impressive. Outside the sandstorm, the Starlight Lich's figure flickered, and a brilliant star river appeared in the sandstorm. Even the sandstorm couldn't conceal the beautiful light of the star river. Countless starlights shot out from the Law Star River, weaving a world. Jin Hui, who was breaking through, suddenly froze, seeing an illusion before him.
An illusion?
He immediately realized he was trapped in an illusion and was horrified. Flying ants couldn't use illusions, so it was obvious who was behind it. In that instant, Jin Hui connected the dots, realizing the sandstorm, the flying ants, and the illusion were all prearranged by Lin Moyu. He had unknowingly fallen into Lin Moyu's trap, but he couldn't figure out how the stone demons were involved. The stone demons were his subordinates, his kin. They couldn't deceive him, let alone collude with Lin Moyu against him. No matter how hard he thought, he couldn't understand that Lin Moyu had the ability to resurrect the dead, turning them into his puppets and weapons. Jin Hui's body emitted a dazzling light, and the law domain expanded again, with his soul wrapped in laws, shooting out sharp golden light. The golden light pierced through the illusion, and the Starlight Lich quickly retreated into the Law Star River and disappeared. The Starlight Lich's limit was to trap a 9th-rank God King, but Jin Hui couldn't be treated as an ordinary 9th-rank God King. The illusion only trapped him for a moment, but that moment was enough to change the battle. He was once again surrounded by the swarm of flying ants, failing to break through. Jin Hui trembled with anger but was helpless. In fact, up to this point, he hadn't even seen Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu hadn't even made a move. Jin Hui had been fighting the flying ants all along.
Lin Moyu, you bastard coward, I'll tear you to pieces.
His soul roared in anger, his voice echoing for millions of kilometers, reaching Lin Moyu's ears. Lin Moyu remained indifferent, saying calmly,
Using your own methods against you, are you playing unfairly?
Everyone uses traps. If you can, why can't I? Isn't it just that you can't handle it? Jin Hui tried to break through again, curling his body into a ball, displaying strong defense. The flying ants' attacks landed on him, causing only minor damage. But before he could roll 2 steps, before he could gain speed, the illusion descended again. In the illusion, he seemed to be in the starry sky, losing his sense of direction. He didn't know which direction to roll or where to break through. He could only expand the law domain again to break the illusion. The Starlight Lich's illusion couldn't trap him, but could continuously affect him. In the sandstorm, both vision and soul were obscured, and Jin Hui couldn't find the Starlight Lich, so he couldn't target it, meaning he couldn't stop the Starlight Lich's illusion from harassing him. Jin Hui realized that breaking through was impossible. At least not until he solved the illusion problem. Since he couldn't break through, he had two outcomes. One was to die here, killed by the flying ants. The other was to eliminate the flying ants. He chose the latter, curling his body again, emitting a hazy golden light, turning himself into a large golden ball. The golden light formed a halo, blocking the flying ants' attacks. In the undead vision, Jean Huey's soul fire suddenly became extremely vigorous, growing stronger and stronger, as if about to break through a limit. Feeling uneasy, Lin Moyu immediately ordered all the resurrected stone demons to quickly move away. Leave the fortress, the farther the better. The Starlight Lich also quickly retreated. 10 seconds later, Jean Huey's soul fire reached its limit and then exploded. A ball of golden light pierced through space, breaking through the sandstorm, as if a star had appeared on the ground. Fortunately, undead vision ignored the blinding golden light, seeing only gray and white. Lin Moyu watched as the flying ants were annihilated. Hundreds of thousands of soul fires disappeared in an instant. The golden light was like a giant hand, wiping them out of this world.
What a powerful area attack!
Lin Moyu couldn't help but exclaim. He estimated this was a secret technique brought by Jean Huey's special bloodline, with immense power. If it were him, he probably couldn't withstand it. But it didn't matter, he wasn't afraid of death. Although the secret technique was powerful, it wasn't enough to kill him. After using the secret technique, Jean Huey's soul fire became extremely weak, but it quickly began to recover, regaining most of its strength in just 2 or 3 seconds. The Stone Demon's revival ability was something all 9th rank God King Stone Demons possessed. Within a certain time, they could revive once, regaining vitality. After using the secret technique, Jean Hui reached his limit and entered a revival state. The sandstorm enveloped him again, swallowing him. The Stone Demons who had moved away quickly returned. The Starlight Lich also rushed back. 1352 Chapter 1352. Let you experience the power of a minor god sovereign. The stone demon curled up its body, turning into a stone ball rolling towards Lin Moyu. Just as the stone ball was about to reach Lin Moyu, Jean Hui had just completed his revival. Jean Hui felt something was amiss. During the time when the flying ants were surrounding and attacking him, his subordinate stone demons didn't react at all. But now they were coming towards him. Moreover, in the sandstorm, how did they find him? Although he didn't believe his kinsman would betray him, Jean Hui still chose to move away. Now that he had killed all the flying ants, no one could stop him from leaving. He was just about to leave when his vision suddenly blurred, and he lost his sense of direction again.
An illusion!
Jean Hui gritted his teeth, expanding his domain of laws, his soul about to leap out to break the illusion. But suddenly, he felt a pang in his heart, and his soul shrank back. At the same time, he curled himself up into a ball, with laws covering his entire body, forming an armor. Boom! A terrifying explosion rang through his soul, echoing in the sandstorm. The stone demons that had rolled towards him didn't hesitate to self-destruct when they got close to Jean Hui. The self-destruction power of a 9th rank God King Stone Demon had already surpassed their full force attack. Although not as powerful as a minor god sovereign, it was still extremely formidable. Jean Hui, curled up in a ball, let out a muffled groan. The golden light on his body quickly dimmed. Even with his defenses fully activated, he was still injured by the self-destruction of the stone demons of the same realm. Immediately after, stone demons rolled in from all directions. For a while, thunderous booms rang out continuously, one self-destruction after another. The force of the self-destructions rose into the sky, forming powerful shockwaves that blew away the sandstorm. After a total of 15 self-destructions, the golden light on Jean Huey's body had completely dissipated. His curled-up body was riddled with wounds, covered in scales. His body was scattered on the ground piece by piece. Jean Huey's aura had waned to the extreme. At this moment, his eyes were filled with bewilderment.
How could this happen?
His voice trembled, unsure whether it was from anger, fear, or simply from being blown apart. In his line of sight, a human stepped on the yellow sand, slowly approaching. This was the second time Lin Moyu had seen Jin Hui. The first time was at Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's place, where he saw Jin Hui's projection. This time it was the real person. Jin Hui's eyes narrowed, revealing a glint of hatred.
Lin Moyu, you despicable human.
Lin Moyu shook his head.
Do you find it interesting to say that?
Humans and demons were sworn enemies. The two sides had an eternal grudge that could never be resolved. Whenever possible, they would use any means to kill each other. Lin Moyu knew Jin Hui wasn't stupid and could communicate like a normal person. That's why he appeared, to let Jin Hui die with his eyes open. Ignoring Jin Hui's hateful gaze, Lin Moyu said softly,
Do you have any last words?
Jin Hui sneered.
What, you want to help me pass on my last words?
Lin Moyu shook his head.
No, just let you say them so you can die more comfortably. Ha!
Upon hearing Lin Moyu's words, Jin Hui suddenly burst into laughter. His laughter was hoarse and unpleasant, but seeing a dying person's demeanor, Lin Moyu still endured it. After laughing for a few seconds, Jin Hui's gaze suddenly turned fierce.
You think you've won?
Suddenly, a golden heart appeared in his hand. The golden heart pulsed with flowing golden light, beating up and down. The golden heart swiftly turned into a stream of light, drilling into Jin Hui's body. Jin Hui's aura rapidly began to rise. The surrounding shattered stones automatically flew up, rejoining Jin Hui's body.
Revival?
Lin Moyu was slightly taken aback, not expecting this to be a revival. At the 9th rank of the God King realm, one only has one chance to revive. Jin Hui had already used it. The revival before him was not his own ability but was related to the golden heartstone he had just used. Lin Moyu waved his hand, unleashing an attack, but it was blocked by the golden light. Jin Hui's entire body was enveloped in golden light, and he let out a maniacal laugh again. Lin Moyu realized that this revival was different from an ordinary revival. When stone demons revive, they cannot move or speak. But the Jin Hui before him, although in a revival state, could laugh and speak. Moreover, the golden light protecting him was formidable. Lin Moyu felt that he couldn't break through it. He realized that this was a very high-level treasure.
Jin Hui stopped logging.
Didn't expect that, did you? I still have a trump card. My father is Jin Shi. Do you know who Jin Shi is? You don't know. With your level, how could you know the power of such a being? You've seen my trap. Your methods are indeed ingenious, and your strength is also formidable. But not only have I temporarily revived, but I can also temporarily possess the power of a minor god sovereign. This time, it's your turn to leave a last word.
Seeing Jin Hui's madness, Lin Moyu remained silent. Based on his understanding of Jin Hui shouldn't be so boastful. Could it be that the treasure had changed his personality? It was possible. With such a powerful treasure, how could there be no price to pay? Or perhaps Jin Hui was deliberately acting this way, trying to buy time. Or there could be another possibility. Lin Moyu considered many possibilities, quickly locking onto the most likely one. Jin Hui was trying to scare him away. The golden heartstone could allow him to revive, but the revived Jin Hui might not be able to return to his peak state. Moreover, he had used up his trump card, and without reaching his peak state, he didn't want to engage in a major battle with Lin Moyu. So he wanted to scare Lin Moyu away. This possibility was very high. Lin Moyu smiled slightly.
I also want to experience the power of a minor god sovereign.
Jin Hui's laughter abruptly stopped. He said in a muffled voice,
You're not afraid to die.
Lin Moyu shook his head.
Trying doesn't necessarily mean death.
Jin Hui said solemnly,
Fine, since you're seeking death yourself, don't blame me.
The revival was nearing its end. The golden light enveloping him rapidly contracted, all of it entering his body. Jin Hui's aura also reached its peak at this moment, rapidly breaking through the limit of the 9th rank of the God King realm, truly entering the realm of a minor god sovereign. Lin Moyu was no stranger to the minor god sovereign realm, as he had entered that realm before, so he was very familiar with the aura of a minor god sovereign. Jin Hui had indeed entered the realm of a minor god sovereign, but it was a forced ascension. He couldn't maintain this state for long, at most a minute or two. Moreover, this wasn't a state suitable for battle. If he fought, the duration might be even shorter. After all, it wasn't his own power. Once used up, it would be gone. It wasn't something he could use at will. Lin Moyu also sensed that Jin Hui's aura was unstable, indicating that his injuries, especially on the soul level, had not fully healed. It wasn't as simple as saying he was healed. If Lin Moyu was scared away, perhaps this portion of power would become the force to heal Jin Hui's injuries. But now, he had no choice but to raise his own realm to that of a minor god sovereign. After ascending to the minor god sovereign realm, Jin Hui let out a hearty laugh.
This is the power of a minor god sovereign.
Lin Moyu looked at him.
Hurry up, you have less than 2 minutes. You saw through it. But so what? 2 minutes is enough to kill you.
Jin Hui swung his massive fist, slamming it down towards Lin Moyu's head. He was 30 meters tall, making Lin Moyu look like a tiny ant before him. Lin Moyu didn't dodge or evade. Responding to Jin Hui was the Skeleton King's sword.
Technique, Godslaying.
The Skeleton King unleashed a sword strike from afar, the sword light exploding on Jin Hui's fist. Jin Hui's fist flickered with golden light, blocking this sword strike, but it was still inevitably deflected, causing his fist to miss Lin Moyu. His fist landed on the yellow sand, raising a towering column of sand. Lin Moyu stood in the sand, shaking his head.
It's not your own power, so you can't control it precisely.
1353, 1353. Chapter 1353. Leave within 1 second, or I'll destroy your body. Jin Hui punched down again, but Lin Moyu remained motionless, lightly tapping his finger on the fist. Lin Moyu's star-level spell, Corpse Explosion. Boom! In the intense explosion, the fist was once again deflected. Lin Moyu had previously left behind 15 stone demon corpses. Most of them were piled into a small mountain to provoke Jin Hui. He had also kept some for use as materials for corpse explosion. At this moment, he detonated one of the corpses, and the resulting power was no less than the previous self-destruction. After 2 consecutive attacks were blocked, Jin Hui screamed in rage. Lin Moyu felt that the treasure from earlier had indeed affected Jin Hui. In fact, the best course of action for Jin Hui earlier would have been to turn and flee. With the power boost to a minor god sovereign, if he wanted to escape, it would have been difficult for Lin Moyu to stop him. But now, after 2 consecutive attacks were blocked, it seemed like it didn't have much effect, but it had already cost Jin Hui his chance to escape. His power boost to a minor god sovereign was limited and couldn't last long. Especially after launching attacks, the duration was even shorter. Lin Moyu didn't give Jin Hui a chance, continuously pointing his finger. 5 consecutive explosions bloomed on Jin Hui's body. He was blasted back repeatedly. Even though he had reached the minor god sovereign level, facing attacks equivalent to the self-destruction of a 9th rank god king, he was still blasted back. He wasn't injured, as the power of the minor god sovereign protected him. But because of this, the power of the minor god sovereign was rapidly depleting, and it was clear that it wouldn't last much longer. When the power dissipated, his previous injuries would resurface. Jin Hui seemed to be jolted awake by the explosions. He let out a strange cry, curling himself into a ball, and with the last bit of minor god sovereign power, he tried to escape. But just as he turned, a surge of minor god sovereign aura rose behind him.
Too late.
Lin Moyu activated 2 original spells simultaneously, his aura rapidly rising, reaching the minor god sovereign level in an instant. Although his law mastery wasn't at that level, his aura was genuinely at the minor god sovereign level, even stronger than Jin Hui's previous minor god sovereign state. The only problem was that Lin Moyu couldn't maintain this state for long, at most half a minute. Jin Hui was terrified, rolling away quickly, covering thousands of kilometers in an instant. The golden ball rolled rapidly on the yellow sand. Jin Hui kept urging himself.
Faster, faster.
At this moment, Lin Moyu suddenly appeared right in front of him, and then a sword light flashed. Jin Hui's consciousness plunged into endless darkness, quickly dissipating. The golden ball rolled for several hundred kilometers more, smashing through several sand dunes before slowly coming to a stop. Jin Hui's body lay there, his aura rapidly falling, dropping to the 9th rank of the God King realm. However, Lin Moyu could sense that his life force was actually much stronger than that of a typical 9th rank God King. If he used Jin Hui's body for corpse explosion, the effect would be far superior to that of an ordinary 9th rank God King. Could even injure a minor God Sovereign. Just as Lin Moyu was about to collect Jin Hui's body, he suddenly smiled.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva, come out and meet me.
On Jin Hui's back, in an inconspicuous spot, a burst of Buddha light suddenly shone. Then, little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's shadow emerged from the Buddha light.
Greetings, Lin Taoist.
Lin Moyu had no fondness for the Buddha tribe and didn't feel any goodwill towards them. But outwardly, Lin Moyu still showed the necessary courtesy.
Greetings, little Buddha.
He addressed the other as little Buddha, not Bodhisattva. This was a form of respect, at least making little Ming Wang Bodhisattva feel pleased. Sure enough, little Ming Wang Bodhisattva smiled.
Lin Taoist, you flatter me. Originally, I didn't want to appear, but I have something to ask for your help.
The reason Lin Moyu could detect the mark left by little Ming Wang Bodhisattva was because the mark had moved on its own. Otherwise, it would have been hard to find.
Please speak, little Buddha.
Lin Moyu said directly. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva chanted a Buddha's name.
Amitabha, it's about Yellow Sand Lake. I have summoned the minor god sovereigns of the Sand Tribe and the leaders of the Earth Monster Tribe to discuss matters regarding Yellow Sand Lake.
Lin Moyu's heart stirred. He had long suspected something about Yellow Sand Lake, believing there was more to the existence of the Yellow Sand Desert. But outwardly, he remained calm, showing no change in expression.
How do you propose we discuss it?
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva said.
We will meet at the central lake, each standing on one side, maintaining a distance of tens of thousands of kilometers, and discuss. What do you think, Lin Taoist?
Lin Moyu thought for a moment.
Agreed.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's face lit up with joy.
In that case, we will meet at the central lake in 5 days. Agreed.
Lin Moyu nodded in agreement. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva chanted another Buddha's name before leaving. Lin Moyu collected Jin Hui's body. Originally, he had planned to turn Jin Hui into a resurrected being to ask how to reach the Nether Swamp. But now, with little Ming Wang Bodhisattva suddenly wanting to discuss Yellow Sand Lake, Lin Moyu thought it might be related to the Nether Swamp. So he temporarily set aside the idea of turning Jin Hui into a resurrected being. If Yellow Sand Lake had nothing to do with the Nether Swamp, he could still ask Jin Hui later. As long as he had the body, he could ask any time. Outside the Yellow Sand Desert, the Nightmare God Sovereign suddenly looked up at the dark starry sky. Zhu Qiwu looked up even earlier. After that, several God Sovereigns also looked up one by one. They all looked in the same direction, where a massive, terrifying power was rapidly approaching. This power transformed into a face belonging to a stone demon. But this stone demon's face was golden, exuding an aura of majesty. A massive pressure emanated from the void, enveloping the starry sky. Then the face crashed towards the Yellow Sand Desert. The Yellow Sand Desert emitted a strong light, and for a moment, yellow sand surged, blocking the giant face. The giant face crashed several times but couldn't get through. Terrifying energy spread through the void, incredibly frightening. The Nightmare God Sovereign, with a shocked expression and a dry voice, said,
Lord Jinshi.
This golden stone demon face belonged to Lord Jinshi. Why did Lord Jinshi suddenly project himself here, trying to enter the Yellow Sand Desert? A bad thought crossed his mind.
Could it be that something happened to Jin Hui?
The next second, he felt this was highly likely. Otherwise, why would Lord Jinshi suddenly appear? At this moment, another terrifying power appeared in the void, transforming into a figure in black. The black-clad figure exuded an aura of nobility and majesty, making it impossible to look directly at him. As soon as he appeared, he struck at Jinshi. The immense power caused Jinshi to waver. Jinshi roared.
Are you trying to stop me? Go back. This is not a place for you.
The black-clad figure said coldly, showing no respect for Jinshi. Without waiting for Jinshi to respond, the black-clad figure continued.
If you don't leave within 1 second, I'll destroy your body.
This was a blatant threat, showing no respect for Jinshi. It was clear that the black-clad figure was much stronger than Jinshi. Jinshi snorted but didn't retort, and the giant face quickly disappeared. Then the black-clad figure also vanished from the starry sky. The nightmare god sovereign finally breathed a sigh of relief.
What a terrifying existence.
In the dark void, Zhu Qiwu's eyes sparkled with envy and anticipation. He wasn't afraid. Instead, he was excited. First, he was excited about reaching that level, a level he would soon attain. Second, he was excited that Lin Moyu had likely killed Jin Hui. Otherwise, Jinshi wouldn't have been so furious.
Well done, kid,
he thought. 1354, 1354. Chapter 1354. The monster in Yellow Sand Lake, so ugly. On the vast expanse of the Yellow Sand Desert, Lin Moyu saw countless yellow sands rising into the sky. He vaguely heard terrifying roars. In the sky, 9 fireballs simultaneously shot out brilliant flames, straight into the sky. Layers of yellow halos flickered in the sky, as beautiful as clouds and mist. The terrifying pressure spread across the Yellow Sand Desert, and Lin Moyu squinted his eyes, momentarily unsure of what was happening. At this moment, he was absorbing the soul power obtained from slaying Jin Hui. Compared to an ordinary 9th-rank god king, the soul power obtained from Jin Hui was much more substantial. After refining and absorbing this soul power, his cultivation could advance further. At this moment, the purple light on Lin Moyu's body had not completely disappeared. He had just recovered from soul collapse not long ago. Forcibly elevating his realm to the limit state inevitably led to soul collapse.
What on earth is happening?
Lin Moyu muttered to himself, unable to understand. Not only Lin Moyu, but everyone in the Yellow Sand Desert saw this scene and had no idea what was happening. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva chanted a Buddha's name.
Heavenly phenomena, what is the reason?
Even little Ming Wang Bodhisattva, who had reached the realm of a small Buddha in the Buddha tribe, equivalent to a minor god sovereign in the great world, couldn't understand what was happening outside. Lin Moyu watched for a while, seeing the sky gradually return to normal, with yellow sand falling like raindrops. He then withdrew his gaze and stopped paying attention. He then looked towards the distance, in the direction of the central lake. According to the information he had obtained, in this deep region, besides the largest central yellow sand lake, there were 6 other yellow sand lakes. The 6 yellow sand lakes were evenly distributed in different areas, far apart from each other. There was one near the Demon Fortress, one in the territory occupied by the Sand Tribe and Earth Monster Tribe, and one at the junction of the two. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's area was similar, with 3 yellow sand lakes under his control. The central lake, where they were to meet, was surrounded by these 6 yellow sand lakes and was the largest. Because it was in the center, it was called the Central Lake. Lin Moyu was about 1 billion kilometers away from the central lake. At his speed, it would take just over a day to reach it. But little Ming Wang Bodhisattva had set a 5-day time frame, likely anticipating that the journey wouldn't be smooth. Reflecting on the information about Yellow Sand Lake, Lin Moyu found that the Stone Demon tribe knew very little about it. They only knew that the water in Yellow Sand Lake constantly splashed against the shore, turning into yellow sand with each splash. It seemed that all the sand in the Yellow Sand Desert originated from this. Some stone demons considered Yellow Sand Lake the source of the Yellow Sand Desert, but this was uncertain. Lin Moyu adjusted his direction, planning to first check out the nearest yellow sand lake before heading to the central lake. In less than an hour, after encountering a few waves of flying ants, Lin Moyu arrived at the edge of Yellow Sand Lake. He heard the sound of water splashing against the shore. The Yellow Sand Lake was much larger than he had imagined, roughly circular, with a diameter exceeding 1,000 kilometers, much larger than an oasis. The lake's surface was not calm, with ripples constantly rising, creating waves that pushed the lake water forward, splashing against the shore. The water that splashed against the shore all turned into yellow sand. In Lin Moyu's eyes, the water seemed to lose its vitality instantly, turning into yellow sand. What puzzled him was that such a large lake had very weak water element laws, completely dominated by earth and stone laws.
Earth and stone?
Lin Moyu was suddenly startled and quickly retreated. The lake surface exploded, with water shooting into the sky and then falling. The water that fell outside the lake instantly turned into yellow sand. From the water column, a monster with a fish body and a dog head leaped out of the lake, pouncing towards Lin Moyu.
So ugly!
The Starlight Lich responded, enveloping the fish-bodied, dog-headed monster. The monster lost its target, rolling in the air. Lin Moyu didn't know what illusion it saw, but its actions indicated that it could fly. It didn't fall but hovered in mid-air. Then the fire lich flew out, and the monster was instantly engulfed in flames. The monster screamed and struggled in the air. Suddenly, it fell from the sky, and a water column from the lake pulled it back.
Come back!
Lin Moyu commanded, and the Fire Lich and Starlight Lich returned without entering the lake. The situation in the lake was unknown, and Lin Moyu didn't plan to engage. Sending the two liches in would be meaningless. The fish-bodied, dog-headed monster was pulled back into the lake by the yellow water and disappeared. Lin Moyu stood by the lake, connecting to undead vision. In undead vision, the lake water turned gray, indicating no life force in the lake. Beneath the lake's surface, within the water, countless soul fires were faintly burning. The lake water blocked undead vision, preventing a deeper view. In the visible area alone, there were thousands of soul fires, each representing a 9th-rank god-king monster. In the unseen depths, who knew how many more there were? Likely countless. One yellow sand lake contained so many monsters, and there were 6 such lakes. Additionally, there was the central lake many times larger, likely containing even more monsters. Lin Moyu realized that monsters were the true rulers of this world. Creatures like Jin Hui were insignificant compared to the vast number of monsters. You could kill 1,000, 10,000, or even 100,000. But what about millions or tens of millions? Even little Ming Wang Bodhisattva would be overwhelmed. Lin Moyu felt a sense of awe towards the Yellow Sand Desert. Fortunately, these monsters couldn't leave Yellow Sand Lake. The monster earlier almost left but was pulled back by the water. Judging by the water turning into sand when it hit the shore, these monsters might also turn into sand if they came ashore. This wasn't impossible. A skeleton god warrior appeared beside Lin Moyu and bravely leaped into the lake with a splash. Like the Death Knights, the skeleton god warrior had no life force. Lin Moyu observed and found that the skeleton god warrior wasn't attacked by the lake monsters, which reassured him. Lin Moyu then took control of the skeleton god warrior. Through its vision, he saw many fish-bodied, dog-headed monsters floating in the lake. They seemed to be asleep, not swimming like fish, just floating with the lake's currents. It was like the flying ants hibernating in their nests, not moving unless they encountered an enemy. Even when the skeleton god warrior passed close to them, they didn't react. Lin Moyu tried several times, even lightly touching the monsters. The monsters' soul fires flickered slightly but remained inactive. Clearly, light touches didn't reach their awakening threshold. Feeling more at ease, Lin Moyu controlled the skeleton god warrior to dive deeper towards the lake bottom. 1355 Chapter 1355 The Secret at the Bottom of Yellow Sand Lake. The lake was very deep, and as the descent continued, the number of monsters in sight increased, creating a spectacular scene. Lin Moyu felt that this yellow sand lake was like a massive arsenal. The monsters inside were like weapons, capable of attacking autonomously and possessing formidable combat power. They could also be used as puppets for the human tribe. If deployed on the battlefield, the effect would be terrifying.
Besides me, no one else should have entered the lake bottom.
With so many monsters present, Lin Moyu believed that even little Ming Wang Bodhisattva couldn't come down here. Therefore, if there were any secrets in Yellow Sand Lake, even little Ming Wang Bodhisattva wouldn't know. As he continued to descend, the lake gradually became murky, with more yellow sand appearing in the water, and the presence of laws became more intense. Each grain of yellow sand contained extremely strong laws, much more concentrated than those on the surface. Without needing monster crystal cores, just these grains of yellow sand were the best materials for comprehending earth and stone laws. Finally, he reached the lake bottom, where the presence of laws became even more intense and strong, and the density of monsters increased significantly. Lin Moyu controlled the skeleton god warrior to move towards the center of the lake bottom. He had to carefully avoid these fish-bodied, dog-headed monsters, which slowed his progress considerably. After cautiously moving for over an hour, he finally reached the center of the lake bottom. What he saw there was astonishing. At the center of the lake bottom, a formation was slowly operating. Streams of water carrying yellow sand converged at the center of the formation. The formation continuously refined the yellow sand, gradually merging it together, eventually forming a crystal core of a 9th-rank god king. More yellow sand automatically gathered, and the laws within the sand coalesced, gradually forming a dog head. After the dog head, the fish body slowly appeared, eventually becoming a fish-bodied, dog-headed monster. The monster opened its eyes, silently left, and joined the group of monsters in the lake, resuming its slumber. After creating a monster, the formation also fell into slumber, seemingly accumulating power for the next creation. Lin Moyu watched the entire process, momentarily at a loss for words. After thinking for a long time, he could only describe it as
astonishing.
The scene before him was too magical. These monsters were created in such a manner. The entire process required no human intervention, and within an hour, a 9th-rank god king monster was created. Lin Moyu felt as if he had discovered an incredible secret, learning the origin of the monsters in the Yellow Sand Desert. Perhaps there were many similar formations in various corners of the Yellow Sand Desert, continuously creating monsters. However, what puzzled Lin Moyu was the purpose behind creating so many monsters in the Yellow Sand Desert. Controlling the skeleton god warrior, he explored the lake bottom and discovered a passage. This passage seemed to be one way, as the skeleton god warrior couldn't enter despite several attempts. Lin Moyu speculated that this passage might be the waterway of the lake, possibly connecting to other yellow sand lakes, including the Central Lake. After retrieving the skeleton god warrior, Lin Moyu calculated the time and found that a day had passed, leaving 4 days until the agreed meeting with little Ming Wang Bodhisattva.
It's time to set off.
Lin Moyu didn't waste any more time and headed towards the Central Lake. Transforming into light, he moved at the fastest speed the Yellow Sand Desert could accommodate. Along the way, he occasionally encountered attacks from flying ants, but even so, he covered most of the distance within a day. At this moment, he was still 400 million kilometers away from the Central Lake. As he got closer to the Central Lake, Lin Moyu sensed changes in the laws. The laws of the earth were decreasing, while the laws of earth and stone were increasing. These two types of laws constituted the main body of the Yellow Sand Desert, and changes in their proportions would trigger other reactions. There were no earth laws in Yellow Sand Lake, only earth and stone laws. The monsters inside were fish-bodied, dog-headed creatures, in stark contrast to the flying ants in the Yellow Sand Desert. The changes in the laws made Lin Moyu realize that he might encounter new monsters, likely 9th-rank god king monsters, which wouldn't be easy to bypass. Otherwise, little Ming Wang Bodhisattva wouldn't have set a 5-day time frame. The Death Knights went ahead using undead vision to scout. As long as the monsters weren't like the flying ants, undead vision could detect them early. After advancing another 10 million kilometers, the Earth laws became increasingly weak, with 90% of the laws now being earth and stone laws. Finally, a bright and powerful soul fire appeared in undead vision. Soon after, more soul fires appeared, densely packed, stretching into the distance. Small hills, each 100 meters high, dotted the landscape, forming a mountain range. At the center of each small hill, a soul fire burned brightly. These 100-meter-tall hills were monsters, blocking Lin Moyu's path. The Death Knights, advancing from different directions, continuously sent back information. No matter which direction they took, they couldn't bypass these mountain monsters to reach the central lake. In the yellow sand desert, flying was impossible. The only option was to fight through. Lin Moyu finally understood why little Mingwang Bodhisattva had set a 5-day time frame, likely because of these mountain monsters. Judging by the strength of their soul fires, these mountain monsters were all 9th-rank God-King monsters. Covered in earth and stone laws, their defense wouldn't be inferior to stone demons of the same level. Due to their size, their strength might even surpass stone demons of the same level. High defense and strong attacks made them difficult to deal with.
Let's test them first.
With a thought, the Starlight Lich and Fire Lich appeared beside him. The Starlight Lich summoned the projection of the Law Star River, merging into it and enveloping a mountain monster. Strangely, the mountain monster remained motionless, as if the illusion had no effect on it. The next second, the Fire Lich summoned the Fire Law Star River, pouring flames down and igniting the mountain monster. This time, the mountain monster reacted, trembling all over. A giant eye appeared in the middle of the mountain, covered in earth and stone laws, emitting a hazy light. Then, a pair of giant hands made entirely of earth and stone grew from its sides. The giant hands waved in the air, emitting powerful earth and stone laws. The earth and stone laws swept over its body like a storm, extinguishing the flames. Then, the earth and stone laws formed a giant hand, slamming down on the projection of the Law Star River. Both the Fire Law Star River and the Starlight Law Star River projections were shaken by the impact. Lin Moyu summoned a large number of Legion commanders to start healing. Flames poured down again, and starlight flickered, continuing to create illusions. The mountain monster waved its giant hands, slamming them down on the Law Star River projections. Despite its massive size, its movements were extremely fast. It struck dozens of times in a second, shattering the 2 Law Star River projections. The Fire Lich and Starlight Lich fell from the shattered Law Star River projections and quickly returned. They were injured, but with the Legion commanders present, they would soon recover. Lin Moyu frowned slightly. This mountain monster was not easy to deal with. 1356 Chapter 1356 Powerful Mountain Monster. Familiar routine. The illusion of the Starlight Lich had no effect on the mountain monster. Lin Moyu knew that the effectiveness of the Fire Lich would be greatly reduced as a result. The Lich's attacks were very strong, among the top in the same realm. However, the Lich's defense was very weak, among the lowest in the same realm. This was a characteristic of the Lich with clear advantages and disadvantages, depending on how you use it. Lin Moyu knew the strengths and weaknesses of the Lich clearly after summoning it. Therefore, he always had the Starlight Lich assist, maximizing the advantages of the Fire Lich. But when facing the mountain monster, the illusion of the Starlight Lich failed, and the weakness of the Fire Lich was exposed. The mountain monster began to charge towards Lin Moyu. It had no legs, but its speed was very fast, moving smoothly without any bumps, dragging a huge trench in the sand. This way of moving was very strange, as if someone was pushing the small mountain forward. Lin Moyu pointed to the sky, and undead flames appeared out of thin air, burning fiercely. Lin Moyu's star-level spell. Summon Skeleton King. A huge skeleton throne appeared in the sky, covering the sky and the sun. The Skeleton King stood up from the throne, its scarlet cloak fluttering in the strong wind. The sword light burst out, and the Skeleton King slashed at the mountain monster with a fierce strike. The sword light exploded on the mountain monster, causing a landslide and flying rocks. The mountain monster's charge was immediately halted. A A huge wound appeared on the mountain monster, with countless stones on its body shattered by the sword light. A huge hole appeared on the mountain monster's waist, and the Skeleton King's strike caused significant damage. However, the mountain monster felt no pain. After being attacked, it became even more furious. It let out a strange cry, and the laws on its body surged. The wound caused by the Skeleton King began to heal rapidly. Countless yellow sands flew in, filling the wound. The yellow sands then turned into stones, quickly merging with the mountain monster. In the blink of an eye, the wound was completely healed. The fully healed mountain monster charged at Lin Moyu again, its momentum undiminished. The 10,000-meter-tall Skeleton King looked down at the mountain monster, its eyes glowing red. It raised its huge bone sword and slashed down like swatting a fly. The bone sword left a trail in the air, shattering countless flying yellow sands. With a bang, the bone sword slashed the mountain monster again, creating another huge gash. The mountain monster stopped again, shaking violently like a tumbler. The Skeleton King's bone sword received a huge counterforce, causing the Skeleton King to retreat continuously, leaving huge footprints on the yellow sand ground. The Skeleton King was huge, but its size didn't mean it had great strength. In terms of strength, the mountain monster was not inferior to the Skeleton King. This strike made the mountain monster shift its attention to the Skeleton King. It ignored Lin Moyu and began to charge at the Skeleton King. Yellow sands continuously filled the mountain monster's wound, healing it again. The Skeleton King stopped retreating and swung its long sword to fight the mountain monster. Although the mountain monster was not as big as the Skeleton King, its defense was too strong, and its recovery ability was astonishing. The damage caused by the Skeleton King was healed in an instant. This was because the Skeleton King's attacks contained the Undying Law, which slowed the mountain monster's self-healing speed. Otherwise, the recovery speed would be even more astonishing, making it impossible to kill. The mountain monster completely ignored its defense, swinging its fists to exchange blows with the Skeleton King, showing a desperate stance. The powerful earth and stone laws gave its fists extremely terrifying destructive power. Each punch could raise a sky full of yellow sand. Each exchange forced the Skeleton King to retreat uncontrollably. Fortunately, the Legion commanders were present, allowing the Skeleton King to recover quickly from the damage. In this regard, the two were not much different. Both sides' attacks were simple and brutal. Despite the huge difference in size, they fought evenly. Lin Moyu frowned slightly. At first glance, the Skeleton King didn't seem weaker than the mountain monster. But he knew that the Skeleton King was actually weaker. The mountain monster's self-healing ability was too strong. The Skeleton King relied on the Legion commanders to fight evenly. Without the Legion commanders, the Skeleton King wouldn't last a few minutes. However, there was only one Skeleton King while there were countless mountain monsters. After watching for a while, Lin Moyu realized that without the power of a minor god sovereign, it was impossible to get through this area. Even if Jin Hui came here and used his trump card, it would be difficult to get through. Lin Moyu pondered how to get through this area with the least cost.
Maybe I can use my speed advantage to force my way through.
As soon as this thought arose, he realized he had made a mistake. The existence of the Central Lake was known from the stone demons. Ordinary 9th-rank God King stone demons couldn't reach the Central Lake, so how did they know about it? It was obviously Jin Hui who told them, meaning Jin Hui had been there. Jin Hui had gotten through this area. The key question was how Jin Hui did it. Couldn't have been by force. Even if the stone demons rolled themselves into balls, they would be blocked by the mountain monsters. The mountain monsters were different from the flying ants. They couldn't be rolled over.
Either Jin Hui had a special method, or he found a road to the Central Lake. But the Death Knights have run far along the mountain monsters and haven't found a corresponding road. How did Jin Hui do it?
The human tribe had left the Yellow Sand Desert for too long and knew too little about it. Lin Moyu was sure there was a way to get through this area, but he didn't know how. Without any clues, Lin Moyu extinguished his thought. The time was too short to find the right way. Now, there were only two options. Either elevate his strength to the minor god sovereign realm and force his way through, or lure the mountain monsters away and create a path. He was very skilled at luring monsters, so it wasn't a problem. Now that he was at the 9th rank of the True God realm, one step further would be the God King realm. If he used his original spells to elevate his realm and force his way through, he would absorb a lot of soul power. It might even push him directly to the God King realm. This wasn't what he wanted. He hadn't fully comprehended the laws of the True God realm and needed time to fill in the gaps and solidify his foundation. After weighing the pros and cons, Lin Moyu decided to use the second method. He continued to use the Death Knights. In the Yellow Sand Desert, the Death Knights were the fastest and could maximize their advantage. A team of hundreds of Death Knights charged at the mountain monsters. The mountain monsters had no interest in undead creatures without life force and ignored them. But the Death Knights wouldn't ignore them. The Death Knights drew their long swords and launched attacks filled with the power of death. The Death Knights' attacks weren't strong, only leaving slight marks on the mountain monsters, not even scratches. But the attacks contained the power of death from the undying law. The power of death corroded the mountain monsters' bodies, triggering their counterattacks. The mountain monsters awakened, their laws surging, and giant fists grew from their waists, punching at the Death Knights. The Death Knights had already moved away after attacking, dodging the mountain monsters' attacks. The mountain monsters began to move, chasing the Death Knights. Their speed was very fast, and the Death Knights had to go all out to keep up. 1357, 1357. Chapter 1357. What method did he use? The Death Knights dragged the mountain monster, running farther and farther, disappearing from sight. Lin Moyu observed the state of the mountain monster the entire time, watching its eyes. The giant eyes were fixed on the Death Knights. Whenever there was any slack, the Death Knights would strike a few more times, reigniting its pursuit. The mountain monster not only had strong defense and powerful attacks, but also had an extraordinary self-healing ability. It also possessed a relentless spirit, chasing the Death Knights for over 100,000 kilometers without stopping. Seeing this, Lin Moyu gradually felt at ease, knowing his plan was feasible. Immediately, teams of Death Knights charged out, attacking the mountain monsters. With 100 Death Knights per team, 1,000,000 Death Knights could form 10,000 teams, each leading away a mountain monster. As the mountain monsters were led away, a wide path appeared before him. On the 3rd day of the 5-day agreement set by Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva, Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva sat cross-legged by the central lake. This time, there was no great sun above his head, but he was still surrounded by Buddha light, making him appear solemn and dignified. In fact, he had arrived the day before and was quietly waiting. In his hand, he held a yellowish tree branch. The branch emitted a strong aura of laws, creating ripples in the air that spread outward. This branch was obtained from the tree of death in the middle region. Under the aura of the branch, the central lake was unusually calm, and the area around Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva was peaceful. Once outside the aura of the branch, the waves of the central lake became turbulent. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva gazed at the lake, lost in thought. After a moment, he slowly raised his head and looked into the distance. 2 figures appeared in the distance. Buddha light shone from Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva, forming a giant projection in the air.
2 Taoist friends, long time no see. I hope you are well.
The 2 figures in the distance looked up at the projection. They were the Black Sand God King of the Sand Tribe and the Erosion Earth God King of the Earth Monster Tribe. The Black Sand God King was already a minor god sovereign, on the same level as Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva. Although the Erosion Earth God King was not a minor god sovereign, he was only slightly weaker, comparable to Jin Hui. Moreover, the Sand Tribe and Earth Monsters were allies, always advancing and retreating together. This alliance allowed them to hold their ground against the powerful demons. The 2 also summoned their laws, forming giant projections in the air.
Little Buddha, long time no see.
From their words, it was clear they held a certain respect for Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva, a respect for his strength and for the Buddha tribe. Even as a minor god sovereign, the Black Sand God King slightly lowered his stance. It wasn't out of fear of little Ming Wang Bodhisattva but because the Buddha tribe was too powerful. Both of them held branches from the tree of death, similar to the one little Ming Wang Bodhisattva had. The Black Sand God King asked,
Has the Golden Glow God King not arrived yet?
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva chanted a Buddha's name.
Amitabha, the Golden Glow God King will not be coming. Huh? What do you mean, little Buddha?
The Black Sand God King was puzzled. The Erosion Earth God King also looked curious. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva said solemnly,
The Golden Glow God King is dead and won't be coming.
This statement changed the expressions of the Black Sand God King and the Erosion Earth God King. The Black Sand God King couldn't believe it.
Who could kill him?
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva did not hide anything.
It was a strong human. A minor god sovereign of the human tribe? No, not a minor god sovereign.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva explained what he knew without hiding anything. There was no need to hide it as it wasn't a secret. He concluded,
This human strongman named Lin Moyu is beyond my understanding. His usual aura is that of a 9th-rank true god. But I am certain he is not a minor god sovereign, that much is clear.
The Black Sand God King said softly,
Even you can't see through him. It seems this person is truly extraordinary. Indeed, there are few races that can rival the demons, and the human tribe is one of them.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva smiled without speaking.
I have a 5-day agreement with Lin Moyu. He should be arriving soon.
The Black Sand God King nodded.
Then we shall wait.
They waited for a day, and the agreed 4th day arrived. Suddenly, little Ming Wang Bodhisattva looked in a direction and said softly,
He's here.
The Black Sand God King and the Erosion Earth God King also sensed it, looking in that direction. They sensed someone approaching. The aura wasn't strong, not even at the God King level. It must be Lin Moyu, the one who killed the Golden Glow God King. The Black Sand God King and the Erosion Earth God King were very curious about the person who could kill the Golden Glow God King. The Golden Glow God King was not easy to kill, even for a minor god sovereign. Moreover, Lin Moyu was at the top of the demon's must-kill list, with a reward of a minor god sovereign level treasure. In their sight, the mountain monsters suddenly moved, running into the distance. The three of them looked at each other, not knowing what was happening. One mountain monster after another ran away, as if chasing someone. Soon, the mountain monsters were all gone, and Lin Moyu appeared in their sight. Seeing Lin Moyu, their eyes narrowed sharply, especially the Erosion Earth God King, who belonged to the Earth Monster tribe and rarely spoke. Since greeting little Ming Wang Bodhisattva, he hadn't spoken again. But now, he couldn't help but exclaim,
He didn't bring a branch.
What shocked them was that Lin Moyu didn't have a branch in his hand. He came empty-handed. The Black Sand God King also murmured,
He got through without a branch. What method did he use?
At this moment, his eyes were filled with seriousness. Even with his strength, he couldn't get here without a branch. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva was also puzzled, not knowing how Lin Moyu got through. Lin Moyu's actions exceeded his expectations. Even he would struggle to get here without using a branch and might even fail. He felt he needed to reassess Lin Moyu's abilities. Lin Moyu was more formidable than he had thought. Lin Moyu saw the three of them from afar. He had seen little Ming Wang Bodhisattva before and was not unfamiliar with him. The other two were the Black Sand God King of the Sand Tribe and the Erosion Earth God King of the Earth Monster Tribe. He had learned about them from the resurrected stone demons and could now match them with their descriptions. Seeing them, Lin Moyu's eyes narrowed. He finally understood the correct way to get past the mountain monsters. All three of them held branches, emitting continuous law fluctuations. The branches from the tree of death, which he also had. Lin Moyu laughed at himself for being a bit foolish. He had thought the branches would be useful, but didn't realize they were meant for this. Fortunately, he had his own method to overcome the obstacles. Lin Moyu moved quickly to the lakeside. Seeing the turbulent lake water and the calm water in front of little Ming Wang Bodhisattva and the others, he also took out his branch. The branch emitted a yellow light, spreading low ripples, and the lake surface instantly calmed. It was as if an invisible hand smoothed the lake surface. The three stood by the lake, forming a triangle, each separated by nearly 10,000 kilometers. Lin Moyu said,
Lin Moyu of the human tribe greets the three of you.
1358 Chapter 1358. The Buddha tribe is still the same Buddha tribe. In the sky, a projection of Lin Moyu's figure appeared. This method was not particularly sophisticated. It merely gathered laws. Not only could a true god easily achieve this, but even a super god could do it without any problem. This projection could only speak and had no other function. It was completely different from the projections of god sovereigns that could carry power for combat. The four of them were separated by thousands of miles, and the projections stood in the void, facing each other. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva clearly considered himself the leader of this meeting. He spoke in a low voice.
This monk has gathered the three of you today to explore the central lake and find the path to the nether swamp.
Lin Moyu's heart skipped a beat.
So it is indeed about this matter. From his words, it seems he hasn't been to the bottom of the central lake and doesn't know what's inside. But he knows that the path to the nether swamp is at the bottom of the lake.
Lin Moyu quickly made many guesses in his mind but did not speak, intending to listen to what else Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva had to say, hoping to gather more information. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva continued.
The three of you should be aware that beneath the central lake, there are countless monsters. Ordinary monsters are not a concern for us. With the branches of the tree of death, they will avoid us. However, the leader monster is difficult to deal with. The path to the nether swamp is at the bottom of the lake, but its exact location needs to be found. Moreover, we need to discuss how to avoid the leader monster, as the branches of the tree of death have no effect on it.
After saying this, Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva looked at the others, waiting for their input. His intention was clear. He wanted the four of them to join forces to try to eliminate the leader monster. Currently, there was no enmity between the human tribe, Buddha tribe, water tribe, and earth monster tribe, so there was indeed a possibility of cooperation. Lin Moyu looked at Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva and was the first to speak.
Little Buddha, I am new here and do not understand the situation in the central lake. I have some questions.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva chanted a Buddha's name.
Amitabha, Lin Taoist, please ask.
Lin Moyu asked directly.
First question, what is the realm of the leader monster, and have you fought it?
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva immediately replied.
The leader monster is at the minor god's sovereign realm. This monk has fought it but was not its match.
Lin Moyu's expression remained unchanged as he asked the second question.
Second question, you mentioned that with the branches of the tree of death, ordinary monsters will not trouble us. If during the battle, the leader monster summons those ordinary monsters to attack us, will the ordinary monsters still care about the branches of the tree of death?
This question stumped Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva.
This monk is not sure. I only fought it for a few moments and retreated when I realized I was no match.
He then added,
However, what Lin Taoist said is not without reason. If the leader monster summons ordinary monsters to attack us, this monk is not sure if the branches of the tree of death will still be effective.
Lin Moyu had fought many dungeons, and some bosses would summon their minions during the battle. Therefore, when fighting a boss, it was common practice to clear out its minions first, leaving it with nothing to summon. If the leader monster in the central lake suddenly summoned ordinary monsters to attack them, it was uncertain whether the branches of the tree of death would still be effective. Lin Moyu continued to ask.
Third question, Little Buddha, can you describe the situation you saw at the bottom of the lake and the specifics of the lake?
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva nodded.
Of course. There are many fish-bodied, dog-headed monsters in the lake. These monsters will actively attack anyone who gets close. For example, if we stand on the shore without holding the branches of the tree of death, the monsters inside will attack us. However, these monsters have a characteristic. They cannot come ashore. Once they do, they turn into sand and die instantly. The monsters in the lake are not as powerful as the mountain monsters, but they are far more numerous. Clearing them all out would be very difficult. Very difficult.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva meant it was practically impossible. The central lake was enormous, and even with Lin Moyu's eyesight, he couldn't see its end. The three of them, separated by thousands of miles, occupied only a tiny corner of the central lake. Lin Moyu thought that even if they threw a few stars into the lake, it wouldn't be a problem. Such a vast lake was inherently unreasonable, and the number of monsters inside was likely countless. Given this, clearing out the monsters inside was an impossible task and the wrong approach. But if they didn't clear out the monsters, the leader monster would likely summon its minions during the fight. With just the few of them, they wouldn't stand a chance. It seemed like an unsolvable problem. After Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva finished explaining what he knew, Lin Moyu roughly understood the situation he was facing. It was very tricky. Lin Moyu then asked the fourth question.
Little Buddha, you mentioned that you went down to find the path to the nether swamp but couldn't find it. Is it possible that the passage will only appear after the leader monster is killed?
This guess was not without reason. Lin Moyu thought of the situation at the bottom of Yellow Sand Lake, where there were indeed passages, but they were inaccessible. Following this logic, even if there was a passage at the bottom of the central lake, it might not be accessible until the leader monster was killed. Perhaps the leader monster would drop a key or something similar. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva said solemnly,
This monk has considered this possibility. However, killing the leader monster is too difficult, so this monk believes it is better to search for the passage first. If we find the passage and it is as Lin Taoist said, we can then think of a way to kill the leader monster.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva still insisted on his idea of avoiding the leader monster and prioritizing finding the passage. Unless they couldn't find it, they would then consider killing the leader monster. But from his calm tone, Lin Moyu sensed a different meaning. It seemed that Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva had some confidence in killing the leader monster but claimed he wasn't its match. This indicated that he had a trump card or had lied earlier. Regardless, killing the leader monster would likely come at a cost. Unless absolutely necessary, he clearly didn't want to pay that price. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's little schemes were almost all guessed by Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu didn't ask any more unnecessary questions and went straight to the point.
Little Buddha, what do you plan to do?
He knew that all the previous talk was just a prelude. Since Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva had taken the initiative to gather them, he must have already had a plan. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva didn't answer directly but looked at the Black Sand God King and the Erosion Earth God King.
Do you two have any suggestions?
The Black Sand God King shook his head.
No, I have been down there and seen the leader monster but haven't fought it. It's very strong, and I can't defeat it.
The Erosion Earth God King, who was sparing with words, said,
I haven't been down there.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva said,
In that case, this monk has an idea. Please listen and see if it is feasible.
Lin Moyu couldn't help but smile inwardly. As expected, he had come prepared. He had already guessed what the Black Sand God King and the Erosion Earth God King would say. Neither the Sand Tribe nor the Earth Monster Tribe were known for their intelligence, making them easy targets for Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's schemes.
The Buddha tribe is still the same Buddha tribe, full of hypocrites.
Lin Moyu thought. 1359, 1359. Chapter 1359, Mutual Vigilance, each with their own agenda. Suppressing his inner dislike for the Buddha tribe, Lin Moyu maintained a calm expression, appearing to listen attentively to Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's words. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva smiled slightly and began to share his thoughts.
We are 4 people in total, so we will split into 2 groups. One group will be responsible for searching for the passage, while the other group will distract the leader monster, buying time for the search group. Each search session will last 1 hour. If we don't find anything within an hour, we will return to the shore to rest for an hour before diving again. The second time we dive, the groups will switch roles, with the other group distracting the leader monster. We will divide the lake into designated areas, with each group responsible for different areas to avoid overlap.
As he spoke, Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva projected a map. The projection showed the layout of the central lake, with the lake divided into 99 areas. Lin Moyu glanced at the map and noticed a large empty area in the center of the lake. He looked at Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva, waiting for an explanation. Not only he, but the Black Sand God King and the Erosion Earth God King also looked at Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva explained,
The central area is the core of the lake and the most likely place to find the passage. However, I have never been able to enter it. Every time I tried, I was blocked by the leader monster.
Lin Moyu asked,
Can you describe the characteristics of the leader monster? Of course.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva did not refuse. He changed the projection again, showing a ferocious monster. It had a fish body, but the dog head was replaced by a lion's head. The head was covered with hideous lumps, looking terrifying. In the center of its head, there was a single horn, resembling a dragon's horn. Just looking at the monster was chilling. The monster also had a pair of large hands holding a weapon, a long spear. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva said,
This leader monster resembles the Yiksha from our Buddha tribe's teachings, so I named it Yellow Sand Yiksha. The yellow sand Yiksha frequently appears in the core area. It has very keen senses and can detect any intruder from any direction. Moreover, it is very fast, much faster than us in the water, making it difficult to deal with. Even if we are just distracting it, we need to be extremely careful and cooperate well.
Lin Moyu memorized the appearance of the leader monster. From Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's tone, it was clear that the monster was formidable. If it could also summon other monsters, it would be nearly impossible to deal with. For now, distracting the leader monster and searching for the passage seemed the best approach. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva looked at the others and, after a few seconds of silence, asked,
Do any of you have a better suggestion?
The Black Sand God King and the Erosion Earth God King remained silent. Lin Moyu said,
Little Buddha's method is good, but how should we form the groups?
Lin Moyu knew that Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva had already thought this through. His question was just a prompt for Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva to explain his plan. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva chanted a Buddha's name and said,
I think I should team up with the Erosion Earth God King, and Lin Taoist should team up with the Black Sand God King.
Lin Moyu's eyes flickered slightly, thinking,
As expected.
He had anticipated that Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva would suggest this grouping. Among the four present, there were no racial grudges. However, the Black Sand God King and the Erosion Earth God King were allies and had a close relationship. If they were grouped together and found the passage, they might enter it themselves, leaving Lin Moyu and Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva at a disadvantage. So, it was necessary to separate them, which was understandable. However, Lin Moyu also had some concerns about this arrangement. Among the four, only he and the Erosion Earth God King were not minor god sovereigns, and on the surface, Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva was the strongest. If Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva and the Erosion Earth God King found the passage, there was a possibility that Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva might kill the Erosion Earth God King and enter alone. This was not impossible. But if Lin Moyu opposed this arrangement and insisted on teaming up with the Erosion Earth God King, Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva might not agree, as he didn't know Lin Moyu's true strength. He only knew that Lin Moyu had killed Jin Hui and considered him a strong opponent. After much thought, Lin Moyu realized that no matter how they grouped, there would be issues. The best solution was not how to form the groups but how to set restrictions. The Erosion Earth God King seemed dissatisfied with the grouping but remained silent, as the Black Sand God King signaled him not to speak. The Black Sand God King, though not known for his intelligence, understood the reasoning. After a moment, he spoke for both himself and the Erosion Earth God King.
I have no objections.
Lin Moyu smiled slightly.
I have no objections either, but I think we should make a vow to the great world.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva seemed to have anticipated this and said,
Of course.
He immediately made a vow.
I swear that in the Central Lake, I will not harm the Black Sand God King of the Sand Tribe, the Erosion Earth God King of the Earth Monster Tribe, or Lin Moyu of the human tribe. If I break this vow, my Dao heart will collapse, and I will die.
After his vow, Lin Moyu, the Black Sand God King, and the Erosion Earth God King also made their vows. Each of them then took out a drop of their essence blood and let it float into the air. The 4 drops of essence blood merged in the air, and a thunderclap sounded, with lightning striking the essence blood. The essence blood dissipated in the lightning, and the great world vow was established. The higher the realm, the greater the commotion when making a great world vow. It is said that when the highest beings make a great world vow, the lightning can sweep across the starry sky, easily destroying galaxies. With the great world vow in place, the 4 of them felt more at ease. However, Lin Moyu remained vigilant, as little Ming Wang Bodhisattva had agreed too readily. Although the great world vow had strong binding power, it was not foolproof. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva might have some means to circumvent the vow. So, Lin Moyu had to stay cautious to survive. Not only him, but the Black Sand God King and the Erosion Earth God King were likely just as wary. Although they were cooperating temporarily, each had their own agenda and remained vigilant. After some more discussion, it was decided that in the first round, Lin Moyu and the Black Sand God King would search for the passage in Area 1. According to Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's numbering, the higher the number, the closer it was to the center. This numbering method was similar to that used by the human tribe in the Vermilion Bird battlefield, and many races in the Great World adopted this method.
Let's go.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva and the Erosion Earth God King were the first to leap into the lake. Holding the branches of the Tree of Death, the branches emitted a bright glow like a beacon as they entered the water. Wherever the light reached, the lake water became calm. The 2 of them quickly dived deeper, and soon, their light was no longer visible from the surface. After about 5 minutes, Lin Moyu and the Black Sand God King exchanged glances and then leaped into the lake simultaneously. 1360. Chapter 1360. Kite Tactics, Extreme Pulling. In the yellowish lake water, a halo of light appeared. Lin Moyu and the Black Sand God King each held a branch of the Tree of Death, which emitted a faint glow. A large number of fish-bodied, dog-headed monsters in the lake retreated upon seeing the glow. Soon, the 2 reached the lake bottom and began searching for the passage. Lin Moyu and the Black Sand God King maintained a distance of 1,000 meters, a distance that ensured thorough searching while expanding their search range, improving efficiency. They continuously advanced along the lake bottom, with Lin Moyu carefully searching along the lake's edge. The passage could be in the peripheral area or somewhere at the lake bottom. Anything was possible until it was found. The lake bottom was not mud but composed of grains of sand. The sand was filled with laws and would not dissolve into mud in the lake water. The Black Sand God King, being from the Sand Tribe, had a natural affinity for earth and stone laws. As he searched, the sand in the lake automatically scattered around him. Using his racial advantage, his search speed was much faster than Lin Moyu's. Soon he moved ahead of Lin Moyu. Time passed and an hour quickly went by. In just 1 hour, they couldn't complete the search of Area 1, only covering most of it. But time was up, and the 2 quickly surfaced, returning to the shore. Half a minute after they returned, Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva and the Erosion Earth God King also emerged from the lake, shooting out like cannonballs and soaring into the sky. Immediately after, a massive figure also burst out of the lake. It was 100 meters tall, with a lion's head and a fish's body, covered in dense fish scales. The lumps on its head were extremely hideous, and a single horn looked sharp and pointed. Long arms grew from the sides of its fish body, holding a 100-meter-long spear. The yellow sand yaksha looked exactly like the projection of Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva, even more hideous in reality. The yellow sand yaksha chased out of the lake, suspended in midair, and fiercely thrust its spear at Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva and the Erosion Earth God King. A massive spear shadow appeared in the void, carrying a terrifying momentum, aiming to pierce the 2. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva turned first, chanting a Buddha's name, and a string of prayer beads appeared in his hand. The prayer beads activated and flew out, rapidly enlarging in the air, transforming into a round shield. The round shield was engraved with Buddha tribe runes, and for a moment, Buddha voices echoed, as if countless Buddhas were chanting scriptures. The spear shadow struck the round shield with a loud bang. The spear shadow disappeared, and the yellow sand yaksha fell back into the lake. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva and the erosion earth god king simultaneously landed back on the shore. Lin Moyu could see that the erosion earth god king still had a look of panic in his eyes. His clothes were somewhat tattered, and his aura was unstable, indicating he had suffered some minor injuries. His strength was not as great as Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva's and was much weaker compared to the yellow sand yaksha. The erosion earth god king didn't speak, just slightly bowed to Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva and silently sat aside, with laws surging around him, seemingly healing his injuries. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva sighed.
The yellow sand yaksha is too powerful. I was just testing it, and we almost got into trouble, causing the erosion earth god king to get slightly injured.
Lin Moyu knew this was just a polite remark and responded,
With little Buddha here, the erosion earth god king will be safe. His panic is greater than his injuries, so it's not a big deal.
Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva asked.
Did you find anything during the search?
Lin Moyu and the Black Sand God King shook their heads. Not finding anything was normal, as it was only the first search, and they hadn't even completed Area 1. Finding the passage wouldn't be easy and would require a lot of time. Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva also sat down.
Next round, you two will distract the yellow sand yaksha. Please be very careful.
Lin Moyu nodded and stopped speaking. The surroundings fell silent, with only the branches of the tree of death continuously emitting a faint glow. Lin Moyu closed his eyes, seemingly meditating, but his mind was already connected to the skeleton god warriors. Earlier, his search speed was slower than the Black Sand God King's. In a position where the Black Sand God King couldn't see, he released 100 skeleton god warriors. The skeleton god warriors buried themselves in the sand at the lake bottom and began to move now. They quickly moved along the lake bottom edge to the other side. In an hour, Little Ming Wang Bodhisattva would enter the lake to search, and the skeleton god warriors needed to avoid him. The skeleton god warriors moved quickly at the lake bottom, silently, without disturbing any monsters. The monsters in the lake completely ignored the skeleton god warriors, which had no life force. After reaching their destination, the 100 skeleton god warriors began searching, forming a terrain map in Lin Moyu's mind. An hour later, Lin Moyu and the Black Sand God King opened their eyes simultaneously. They exchanged a glance and then leaped high, diving into the lake. As soon as they entered the lake, they swam towards the lake center. Their goal was to attract the yellow sand yaksha's attention, so they headed straight for the core area. The branches of the tree of death continuously emitted a faint glow, repelling ordinary monsters, allowing them to move quickly. Soon, a massive figure came into view. Lin Moyu and the Black Sand God King spotted the yellow sand yaksha, and the yellow sand yaksha also noticed them. Lin Moyu felt himself being locked onto by a powerful, violent soul. It was beyond the 9th rank of the God King but weaker than a God Sovereign, a true minor God Sovereign soul. The branches of the tree of death lost their effect, and the yellow sand yaksha, holding its spear, charged at them. A strong sense of danger surged in Lin Moyu's heart. Being targeted by the yellow sand yaksha posed a life-threatening risk.
Retreat!
Without thinking, Lin Moyu quickly retreated. According to their prior agreement, they adopted a kite strategy. The two maintained a distance of 1,000 kilometers, taking turns attracting the yellow sand yaksha's attention. They quickly distanced themselves, with Lin Moyu moving fast, but the yellow sand yaksha was even faster in the water. The distance between them was rapidly closing. Seeing that it was about to catch up, Lin Moyu prepared to endure the yellow sand yaksha's attack. Even though the yellow sand yaksha had the combat power of a minor god sovereign, it couldn't kill him instantly. So far, Lin Moyu remained calm. Suddenly, a golden arrow broke through the water, striking the yellow sand yaksha. The yellow sand yaksha turned sharply, looking at the Black Sand God King 1,000 kilometers away. The Black Sand God King had already taken his position and launched an attack without hesitation. His attack drew the Yellow Sand Yaksha's attention, and it charged at him. After the attack, the Black Sand God King quickly retreated. Lin Moyu pointed his finger, following closely, maintaining a distance of 1,000 kilometers from the Black Sand God King. The Black Sand God King's timely attack diverted the Yellow Sand Yaksha's attention just as it was about to strike. The Black Sand God King wasn't fast, even slower than Lin Moyu. In just a few seconds, the Yellow Sand Yaksha caught up with the Black Sand God King. Lin Moyu could see the Black Sand God King was very tense, his whole body taut, ready to act. At this moment, Lin Moyu lightly pointed his finger, and a red light suddenly appeared in the yellowish lake world. Star-level spell, Soul Burn. Lin Moyu didn't use the time curse, as its power was too great, and he feared the Yellow Sand Yaksha would hold a grudge against him afterward. Just attracting attention, Soul Burn was enough. 1361, 1361.